Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Power Network. Sorry about that. I froze right there in the beginning. So welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Power Network. I'm Amy. Today, we're digging into two names tied directly to the Watts case through Anadarko, Troy McCoy and Nicole Kessinger. Troy was the coworker who went out to survey 319, the exact site where Shanann, Bella, and Celeste were found, and even he admitted it looked bad. It's also been alleged that Troy engaged in some three-way activities, adding another layer of questions about who he really was and how close he may have been to Chris. And then there's Nicole, the sexy empanada mistress, who wasn't just a bystander, was she? She's the one who sent Chris out to the very site, but that's not all. There's a lot of coincidences around Nicole. Her phone pinging by the Watts home for the first time the night of the crime, and that infamous 111-minute phone call on the night of the murders, the one neither she nor Chris can remember. So the question is, were these just innocent connections, or do we need to look harder into these alleged involvements? That's what we're breaking down today. I'm rolling credits. Shout out to my Dragonflies. Shout out to the whole Power crew and Replay crew. I love you, babies.
Carefully strumming his old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I'd steal them and fly away with you.
You guys, I'm having issue problems. Everything I am playing isn't working. Let me try this one more time. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to have to end this live and then just restart the live because I don't know what's happening. Everything's sticking and I've got a lot of stuff to show you and I don't want to fight this battle. So let me try it one more time. And if it doesn't work, then I'm going to just create another live and move us all over there. So let's give it one more shot.
For a while, here in the S. Carefully strumming his old guitar again. Words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I'd steal them and fly away with you. For a while, here in the essence of gratitude. Your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day.
Here in the blue, I'm just really hoping that these tech issues get worked out. So audio's back, everything's good, right, guys? I hope so. I don't know what's happening, but we're just going to try to work around it. And because creating a whole new live is just a pain in the tushy. So let's just hope that this goes smoothly. And if it doesn't, then we'll go to plan B. But welcome to the Power Network, everyone. Happy Weird Watts Wednesday. As I said, today we're going to be talking about two of the Anadarko coworkers. Actually, we're going to start a series on this. I wanted to talk about all of them, and then when I was researching, I'm like, wow, there's just so many of them that we're going to have to break it down into segments. So today we're talking about Troy McCoy and, of course, the sexy empanada or the schmexy empanada, Nicole Kessinger. But mostly Troy McCoy. Can everybody hear me okay? Because now the chat isn't moving, so maybe I should just restart this. Oh boy. It's been a weird day. Oh yeah, you can hear me fine. Okay, it's been a weird day with electrical stuff. I'm having big emotions. I don't know if it's, I'm a woo-woo girl, and we've got eclipse season on us, and I don't know if my emotions are just pinging off of this weird season, because I have been weirdly very emotional, like high strung 1 minute, very sad the next, happy. It's just like I'm pinging off of all the emotions, and when that happens, a lot of times my electronics start acting funny. So does anybody else's emotions affect electronics? Okay, anyway, so we're going to start talking today about Troy McCoy and Nicole Kessinger. Before we get started, if we could just start that algorithm dance party that I like to do, just start warming up your fingers and dancing them up to the hearts and thumbs up button. Helps us go out into the algorithm, party out there, bring more people back. It's just a free way to help me out, and it's really, really appreciated. I'm so glad you caught it too, Kim. And sending extra love back to you, Moira. Thank you. You're always sending that good love to me. And I really appreciate it. I appreciate you all for sending the good love to me. Take a deep breath, right? Whew. And I was just thinking before I went live that as many lives as I've done, I still get a little bit nervous before I go live. Just every time. It's just strange to me, but I guess that's a good thing in a way, right? That you still get nervous. So I'm still trying to bring my A game to you guys. Hi, Jessica. I haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you. Hi, NK. It's good to see you, or Nick, I should say. Hi, everybody out there in the nether regions. So, I wanted to talk about Troy. He's been on my mind for a while, ever since I was talking to Rose, and she had mentioned to me during a live that we were doing we were kind of really talking about Anadarko and the survey 319. Here, let me show you. Let me get it up on my screen. That's not what I wanted. Hold on a second. So we were talking about this. I want to go back to the coworkers. I think the coworkers knew something, because, coworkers, you spend actually more time with your coworkers sometimes in your life sometimes than your own family. And so I really do think the coworkers knew.
Well, remember the fire stick deal? So, wasn't Nikki in the car with him in Shanann's car? How dare she, in the first place? And then she met that guy with the fire stick. Isn't that what happened?
No. So she was wrong about the fire stick, but she did mention to me also that she had thought that, and this is all my opinion, my research. We urge you to go out there and do your own. Everything that we watch, we will put down in the YouTube show notes. We do this to cite our sources and for fair play use. But again, I want to urge you to go out there and do your own research. If you have varying opinions, that's okay. Everybody can have different opinions. It's a case that we come together and talk about. I don't agree with everything anybody says in this world, and sometimes I change my mind. So we're all free thinkers here. But she had said that she had thought that Troy was also part of the threesomes that was going on in the relationship between Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger. Now, this is all alleged, but I thought, and then I started thinking about, well, yeah, I started really thinking about workplace environments, and especially shop type environments, because I was married to my ex-husband was a screw machine operator. And so there was a lot of drama, lots of drama in that shop. And so I started thinking about, yeah, there's probably a lot of stuff that we don't know about Anadarko and a lot of relationships that we don't know about Anadarko. And so then Anadarko became very important to me. And this was about a month ago, and I've been thinking about it. And so I thought, why not just start a series where what we do is we just look at it. You guys decide on your own. I might have an opinion and give it, but I don't expect you to be, team my opinion. And if you're a different opinion or you have other information, I want to hear it. Doesn't mean I believe it, but I still want to hear it. And I might, when I hear opinions, I often will repeat them out loud just so you know that I've heard it. And so I've got it so that, I can file it away. So it doesn't necessarily mean I just feel like I need to do all these disclaimers these days for my channel, and maybe I'm overthinking things, and I probably am, but there are the disclaimers. I just want free thinkers here. I actually encourage people who have different opinions to come here because I want to learn and grow. And yeah, so tell me what you guys think about that whole idea about employment. Like, think about to where you've worked in places. I mean, I've never worked, I've worked at I remember I worked at Myers in the photo department, and that was a lot of drama. And I'm not trying to, but I'm just trying to think about larger corporations, and, the whole employee, culture. Let's see what you guys are saying. And then we're going to go into looking at this. Moyer says, Amy, apparently NK had a relationship with someone high up in Anadarko as well as CW. So NK had a reputation at Anadarko, apparently. She has a reputation all around, doesn't she? I think that's what's gotten her into the mess that she's in, is that she had so many issues as a teenager. They let her off so fast. She had a lot of things going on at Anadarko. We're going to take a quick look at her employment at Anadarko for NK. Nick says, to use the words the kids say, Kessinger was always sus. I think I used that word in my community post, sus. I'm trying to be one of the kids. I'm a Libra, and I'm struggling with things a lot. So you're struggling too? There's a bomb threat. Oh, no. Oh, geez. It's so stressful what's going on in the political assassination and all of that. If you guys are really interested in following that, I've seen that Lindsay over on the Lindsay show. I've had her on a few times. She was on last week. She's really following this case pretty closely. So if you enjoyed her, she's been doing a lot of lives and just streaming all of that. For me, political stuff, I can only dip into here and there because it upsets me a lot. I'm a Scorpio too, so I'm the same exact way. And it's been a bad, you've had a bad week, Kim. I don't want to label things as bad, but you've had a lot of things happening this week. Amy sending extra special virtual hugs your way and special vibes too. Thank you so much, Moira. You always send the good love in my way, and I really do appreciate that. I appreciate you and all of the Dragonflies and all of the Power crew that just send love, and just know that I'm sending it right back to you. Okay, so let's get into this now. All right, so I wanted to first talk about no, that's not what I want to do. let's do this. I want to first introduce some of the cast of characters, and then we'll go from there. So there were multiple former employees at Anadarko Petroleum. Chris Watts' workplace at the time of the murders provided statements to law enforcement. Notable coworkers who spoke to investigators included Troy McCoy, Cody Roberts, and Brian Spence. Watts's mistress, Nicole Kessinger, also worked for a contractor at the same company. So today we're going to talk about Troy McCoy. He was a coworker who grew suspicious of Watts. On the day after the family's disappearance, McCoy drove to the remote oil site where Watts worked and where the bodies would later be found. During the police interview, McCoy said he knew it looked bad and that he visited the site. He explained that Watts had told coworkers he would be going to the specific site alone on the morning of the murders. McCoy went there to see if anything seemed out of the ordinary. And then the other person we're going to look at is Nicole Kessinger. We're not going to look at her too deep because, man, we've got a whole playlist on the mistress. And if you're interested in that, you know, I will put it down, the link down in the show notes, but we've got quite a few on old NK. Right there. Sorry. I don't know what's happening with my board today. I put one thing up and another thing flies up. So I'm really sorry. Okay. So I'm probably going to hear it in the comments too. All right. So this is the mistress files. If you are interested in hearing more about NK, but we are going to talk about her a little bit because how can we not? Because I feel like she's directly tied into Troy at this point, or allegedly. Nicole Kessinger was Watts's co-worker and mistress. The affair, she told police, this is the official, what she told police, that Watts had lied to her, saying he and his wife were separated and finalizing their divorce. She ended the relationship with Watts when she learned his family was missing and he had lied, and she was just so disgusted, and she just, you know, wiped off her whole phone in the middle of a murder investigation. She was just so disgusted. Sorry, I had to add that. I'm trying to be professional and add like the official and then just try to add my little opinion there. So suspicious behavior that Kessinger also found Watts' explanation. She says for going to the remote oil site after the fact, even though she sent it to him on the day of the murders, she found that very suspicious, she says. And he told her he was checking on a gas release, but she knew the task was typically handled by an environmental team. That was what she officially said. But who believes that? How many of you believe that story? I should do that as a poll. I'm like 90% that she was somehow involved. 100% believes that she was involved to the fact that her words influenced him 100%, but I still don't know if she helped. I know that irritates people, but I'm sorry. I can't be in that camp where I would need to talk to her or have a better interrogation of her, you know? But anyway, so that's what people think about Nicole Kessinger. And when looking at Nicole Kessinger and her employment at Anadarko, Nicole Kessinger was not a direct Anadarko employee. She worked as a contract employee through Tasman Co-Science, firm that it's like a Kelly company that, you know, contracted through Anadarko. Her role was as a field engineer in the environmental safety department, monitoring compliance and field operation. Her connection to Chris was they both worked in the same office setting at Anadarko. Watts also worked in the field at oil wells. According to Kessinger's Denver Post interview, she and Watts first spoke in June 2018 when he introduced himself. However, she was found to have researched Chris a year prior to that. And one of the, I think it was the DA, said that it wasn't a typo. So the workplace proximity, she said, led to the affair. A key timeline was between August 12th and the 13th, the night before the murders. Kessinger and Watts spoke on the phone for like an hour and 11 minutes. Her phone pinged near Watts's home for the first time that night, and it had never pinged there before. The morning of, Watts drove to an Anadarko oil site where he disposed of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. The specific site was part of Anadarko's remote operations, and I believe she sent him out there, and she knew, but afterwards she tried to act like it was all sus that he had even went there. There was an overlap. Kessinger's position gave her insider knowledge of the oil sites Watts had access to. The timing of the long call plus unusual phone ping ties her into the night's events. Many observers argue she influenced Watts on the site under the cover of normal work duties. And so once Watts' crimes and her affair became public, Anadarko terminated her contract. So she wasn't really fired through them, but she was, her contract was terminated, so she no longer worked there. She was worried she was going to lose the job, but I don't know. That's all I really want to talk about Nicole, since we've talked about her so much. Now I want to move into Troy. Good old Troy. Let me see what you guys are saying about Nicole really quick, though. I don't know that Nicole joined CW's gym before working together. I'm convinced that they'd known each other. Yeah, I believe that if they knew each other before, which I do think that they knew each other before, that it was probably somehow fitness related. They either met at the gym because the Rucheks were living in the basement, or there was that when Shanann was working at the hospital, there was some kind of thing that the hospital did, some kind of activity, charity event. And I think they could have met there, because I did see something where Nicole posted that event, that charity event, and Shanann was also posting that same event. So they could have met there, allegedly. Love this channel. Oh, thank you. Love you back, Claire. That means a lot. I've been feeling a little stressed out about things lately. So I'm not saying give me love, but I really appreciate it when you guys do, because it just seems to be coming at the right time. To use the word, oh, I already read that. Okay, guys. So let's move on and go into Troy McCoy. Actually, I saw this. This was really interesting over here. I saw this article about Nicole Kessinger. Her name was Nicole Kessinger, and her lover, Chris Watts, destroyed his entire family for her. So you've seen her photographs. She's not dazzling. I don't think she's even pretty, really. She does have a big, toothy, white smile and white eyes, posing for photos with her married lover. There is no doubt that Chris Watts preferred brunette women. Nicole has long, dark hair, and Shanann, the pregnant wife, he's put his hands around her to death, has shortened black hair, always carefully coiffed. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It doesn't sound like it's coming out right. In my head, I can say it, but always carefully done, in photo after photo of a smiling Shanann, and there are hundreds and hundreds. Her makeup is always meticulous. Her lipstick is always freshly applied, except that one at the very end. Nicole Kessinger wears no cosmetics in her photos, except the one in the Denver Post. Her skin is clear but plain. Shanann always had a custom manicure, different digits adorned with polished designs. Nicole's nails we see in the photos are short and unpolished. Chris Watts told authorities that Nichol Kessinger took his breath away. This after carrying on with her within his failing marriage to a far more attractive woman, the mother of his two little daughters, Bella and Celeste. This after impregnating Shanann with the baby he told her he desperately wanted. And this after he unalived Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and his unborn baby son, Nico, one by one with his own two hands. In this month leading up to the unalivings, their hands no longer caressed his wife, much to her dismay. Chris had been increasingly distant with Shanann, cagey about their unborn son, cold to her frantic attempts to decipher how her loving husband could suddenly become a stranger. Shanann told her friends that she didn't know what was going on, but I think she knew. She may not have known her name, but she wasn't stupid. Shanann Watts knew there was one big problem in her marriage, and it was Nicole Kessinger. So she isn't dazzling, and she held a mundane job at the same company that employed Chris Watts Anadarko. Was she a fascinating conversationalist? We know that she loved to sext back and forth with her lover. She feverishly deleted as many of the exchanges as she could during the week after Chris strangled his family. We know she was certainly interested in Shanann Watts and her life. Nicole Kessinger searched for her on Google almost a year before the unalivings. She researched lots of her other topics too: wedding dresses, men who marry their mistresses, how to delete text messages so that law enforcement cannot read them. Shanann Watts's Facebook page again. She went to Shanann Watts's Facebook page again and again and again. What was it then about Nicole Kessinger? What about her was so compelling that Chris Watts would annihilate his own flesh and blood for a fresh start with her? Did he honestly think he would have a new life with Nicole? What was it about her that made a seemingly normal, everyday man turn to brutal, calculated, messy red rum? And we'll leave it there. We don't always read everything in its entirety. But what was it? What was it, you guys, that made Nicole Kessinger so the it girl for him? I personally think it was that she made him think that he was in charge. And I'm sure Shanann probably did the same thing in the beginning too. Like, you're my savior. You're in charge, right? And Chris liked to be both of those things. So that's just what I'm guessing. What are you guys guessing? Moving on to Troy McCoy. Let me give you a little background on Troy, and then we'll go into watching his content. We're going to listen to his interview, and I have a few channel creators that have covered him as well. So his employment at Anadarko, he was a longtime employee at Anadarko Petroleum, serving as a field supervisor and a lead operator. He oversaw daily operations, safety, and crew assignments at oil sites, including the Survey 319 site. He was Chris Watts' direct supervisor and responsible for checking in on the conditions of the well site and tanks. He worked closely with Chris for years as both a supervisor and a friend. He regularly saw Watts in the field and was familiar with his work habits. He was one of the coworkers who first went to check the survey site after Watts's family was reported missing. He gave multiple statements to investigators about Watts's behavior leading up to and on the morning of the unalivings. He is reported that Watts seemed odd and unconcerned and unemotional when his family was reported missing. He confirmed Watts' presence at survey on the morning of August 13th, 2018, which later became a crucial detail in the investigation. He is known to have social familiarity with the Watts beyond just work. They were considered friendly coworkers, not distant colleagues. His interviews suggest that he noticed behavioral changes in Watts during the affair with Nicole Kessinger, though McCoy downplayed him being suspicious at the time. So that's a little overview of our Mr. Troy McCoy. So we're going to take a look at True Crime Rocket Science, one of his videos. And he takes a, oops, that's wrong. Where is it? Hold on, let me refresh the page and see if it comes up. It was just here. No, that's not it. Oh, there. No, that's not it either. Here it is. Sorry. Okay. Why is this doing this? Okay. Here we go. Pay no attention to the woman behind the curtain. NK thought by trying to manipulate and say loved the same hobbies and interests. Yes, she did do that. She made herself the guy's girl, didn't she? Like she liked all the things that the guys liked, and so of course they were gonna like her. We all know that type. And yeah, she tried to make it the grass was greener. I think she was gearing up to be if people thought Shanann was a 2.0, she was gearing up to be a 5.0, right? And I don't think Cindy Watts would have gotten along with NK at all. I don't either, not making excuses for what he did, as there's no excuse, but he was clearly unhappy and possibly vulnerable. It could have been anyone that gave him attention. That's a very good point. Yeah, he was very unhappy. Shanann and him were not compatible. He needed to grow balls and say so. But you know, I was in a marriage where I was worshipped a lot like Shanann was worshipped, and I ran the show. And until I didn't, right? Until he found somebody else, he found somebody else. And that somebody else was one of my friends. And I've forgiven and I've gotten past it. But when I finally said something, he just said to me, she's crazy. My friend that he had decided, he said, Amy, she's crazy. And I'm like, do you think I didn't know that she was crazy? I'm her friend. I'm a secret holder. I'm that kind of friend. I hold secrets. I keep my friends' secrets. I don't go out there and tell the world. So I knew she was crazy. Congratulations. But anyway, so I mean, the grass is never greener on the other side. It's like only 10% greener. It's like when you see somebody who leaves somebody for another woman, it rarely ever works out. Am I right? So yeah, I am better off without him because we weren't the right people for each other. And you know, his mom, I love her. She's like my mom. She has done so many things for me, and I feel like I met him so that I could have her. Like she's what I got out of the marriage, and she's the prize, and I love her in my life, and I would be lost without her. So it's all perfect. So, and I rarely say a lot about him because that's her son, and I mean, I recognize that she loves him, and he is a good person. He is a good person. He just made a mistake, and he didn't unalive anybody. So, you know, he just cheated on somebody. That's all. But anyway, going into Troy McCoy, I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but going into Troy McCoy, we're going to take a quick look at him. This is actually the interview that Troy gave with the investigators over on Reddit, people had talked about the interview, and I love Reddit. And so here I saw this in Chris Watts's page, and this was 6 years ago. So this was almost after, well, it's been 7 years now. So this was almost after. So thanks to the Watts Tapes podcast, something else just stirred in my brain. So not only did CW have time to dig a grave, bury his wife, unalive his 2 children, walk over and unscrew and rescrew 2 theft hatches, and dropping their bodies in, making phone text calls to numerous coworkers, bogus ones to Shanann, the daycare, the realtor. He also had time to diagnose the work issue at the site and dig another hole whilst being sick, taking a dump, taking photographs of his laptop, etc. So now to me, this is all complete nonsense in the space of 90 minutes. Come on, there was either prep before that morning or he had help. I have thought about other vehicle tire tracks if he did have help, but there were all sorts of coworkers turning up on the site, so they could have easily been overlooked by LE. So much was overlooked by LE. It wouldn't surprise me. What do you think? Preparation ahead at the site, could have done it anytime on the weekend. He had the Lexus, and also Bella, I think, had said that they were out digging somewhere. Also weird that the Lindstrom son said he thought the girls were in a hole. Maybe they said at the party they saw their dad dig a hole. Yeah, they said they actually told the son that they were out digging a hole. So do you think it's possible for Chris Watts to do all of that in 90 minutes? Or do you think he would have had to have help? Now, records show the coworker went to the site, looked for clues the day after the family's disappearance. Weld County, the day after Shanann Watts and her 2 daughters went missing, Troy McCoy found himself out at the site where their bodies eventually would be recovered. McCoy, an Anadarko coworker at Christopher Watts, didn't yet know Watts unalived his wife, or so he says, and kids, or that he placed the girls' bodies in separate oil tanks. But he had suspicions. McCoy detailed those suspicions in an at times emotional interview with law enforcement August 17th, saying he knew it looked bad that he was at the site on August 14th, the day after Watts dumped the bodies. How do you guys feel about Troy? Do you think it's strange that he went out there the next day? I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. I don't think it's so strange, but I do think it's strange to go out there. Well, Chris hadn't been arrested yet. It's kind of scary to go out there because what if your tracks and your prints get out there? It is strange, actually. It seems like it would be tampering with an investigation. Why weren't they already out there? You think Troy was an honest person and wanted to soothe his theories to see if his theories were right? The children said on Sunday the reason why slightly late for birthday party, they were digging like sandcastles at Survey 319, the little boy told his parents. I thought they just said they were digging. I didn't know it was actual sandcastles. I don't understand is why CW's lawyered up why he didn't. I don't know. Ronnie, I think. If I were Ronnie, I would be shooting myself in the foot to the day, because he should have lawyered up. But you know what? We're true crime people and we know that now. I guess not everybody knows that. So. Okay, so we're going to go in and, well, actually, you know what I want to do? I do want to listen to Troy's interrogation, but I think Troy's interrogation is really long. Let me look and see how long it is. Well, it's not that. If I speed it up, it's 114 minutes long. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out on his interrogation, and I want to look at this other person really quick. There are these coworkers that have come forward, these alleged, now we're getting into alleged territory, you guys. So this is all, well, it's all alleged anyway, but this is very alleged. This is people talking about giving statements, interviews to, I think, YouTubers and such.
What did Chris Watts' coworkers really see? Leaked messages, allegedly from Anadarko employees, suggest that something wasn't right. One wrote, "She was always around Chris. I saw it with my own eyes." Another said, "I wouldn't be surprised if she helped him kill her. She's a terrible human being." Some even claimed they acted like a couple long before the murders. Rumors? Truth? Or something everyone missed? Comment below what you believe and follow Alayhar Crimes for more.
Yeah, so we're going to go into this little aspect, little detour, and then we'll come back to the Troy. We'll wrap things up with Troy McCoy. Had CW been talking about Survey 319 a lot? I agree. CW getting a lawyer, a big mistake. I don't know. Had he been? I know there was like that weekend, there was a lot of phone call conversations about the leaking oil. And I just always assumed CW, and I guess the story is that CW latched onto that, thinking it was his perfect time to unalive his family, because he had been trying to do it anyway. Or at least in California, man, I'm saying all the wrong words. In North Carolina, he was trying to have her abort the baby. So he was actively trying to sabotage his family at this point. So that's what I think. Getting back to this is Anadarko Chris Watts' friend, coworker, airs out Nicole Kessinger.
Interviews again. And who said that Chris Watts' eyes turn black?
And this is a new channel. I've never seen this channel before that we're introducing. I haven't watched a lot of their content, so I'm not really sure about it. We're just going to look at it. This is News Scroll Hole. We will put the link down in the YouTube show notes for you guys.
Nicole Kessinger did. She said his eyes went black. His eyes went black. Who else says his eyes went black? Who else claims Chris Watts' eyes went black? Comment your thoughts below on that one. So since there's so many coinkydinks, that there's these different narratives, and the narratives all boil down to Chris Watts did it. After I learned Cheryl and Cato's claim to fame, Chris's eyes turned black, was actually first.
Because Chris is an idiot. He thinks that giving that type of opiates, I guess if taken in large quantities, but I know pregnant women that, have been in the hospital given certain kinds of opiates and they're fine. It's just not good for the baby, right? So he thought giving her this stuff would make her abort the baby. And I don't know the amount he was like. You would have to give somebody a lot to, like, you couldn't just give them one pill or two pill. You would really have to give them a lot. And even then, I don't even know, right? So Chris Watts is an idiot. That's my answer to that. So I think Chris Watts is a moron.
Stated by Nicol Kessinger. I thought of an old interview that I'd seen that Cato coincidentally says the same thing as this gentleman, this friend of Chris's, who's
so authorish, like his eyes turn black as night.
His wife was friends with Shanann. They were friends and neighbors to the Wattses. He worked with Chris Watts at Anadarko. Did you see that?
How often does your blood sugar drop low?
Anadarko.
Broke
That's
Anadarko,
N.A.'s child. That's Nicole's child back there.
where he speaks on all the dark Nicole Kessinger.
Okay, I didn't realize she was going into paranormal activity.
All this scoop on her and is still friends with Chris and gave a lot of information, and it's gone. I wonder if he got threatened and he made the person take down the video, because these people target, like full on target and stalk like Scientologists. He still wrote letters to and considered Chris a friend. It was shocked by what had gone down and felt that Chris was covering up for Nicole Kessinger. He worked with him at Anadarko and said that she had very demonic, dark energy, and that like a wicked.
It's come out recently that this coworker said that she had dark energy, and I think they even said she had the Satanic Bible sitting on her desk, which I don't believe for a second. That at Anadarko, well, I don't know. The world is freaking crazy these days. I 90% don't believe that she had the Satanic Bible sitting out in the open. Does anyone else think that?
Evil vibe came off of her. He said she had the Book of the Dead.
The Book of the Dead. Sorry. I do believe that she had an evil vibe coming off of her, because I get evil vibes coming off of her, but I just feel I get mean girl vibes from her. I get mean girl vibes that I can take any man you want. In fact, I prefer your man. I get those vibes from her, and I stay away from those kind of people.
Or a book of necromancy. I can't remember exactly which book he said, but it was an occult book, and it was on her desk every day, along with a specific kind of crystal. And I don't recall which one he said, but I think it was quartz. And quartz is what they use.
I believe there would be a crystal. I mean, crystals are a thing. They're like, people put them in their homes now to decorate. So I believe a crystal could be there. And I don't know. Maybe she had this book out there. I don't know. I don't think she had the book out, but I believe the crystals. Plus, she was a geologist. She was into, I like rocks and crystals and stuff. I like feathers, but I mean, I don't have any Book of the Dead or anything like that. And I don't think in a workplace they would allow you to put the Book of the Dead. They would let you put the Bible out. Maybe they wouldn't be allowed to say anything about the Book of the Dead. I don't know.
In the occult mystery religions. So this guy was basically saying what I've been feeling is that Chris Watts is afraid to tell the truth, and he was under mind control, and something else happened. The main takeaway, though, from the coworker of Nicole Kessinger and the friend and coworker of Chris Watts, whose interview got scrubbed from the web, was that he said Chris told him that on the night that Shanann, the first night that he slept in the house alone, the night after he allegedly murdered everyone, he saw a black mist demon with red eyes manifest. Changing popular opinion? Question mark. The eyes going dark, Nicole Kessinger said in one of her quote unquote police interviews. And then the black shadow figure was said by the friend and employee at Anadarko that got scrubbed from the web. That was telling about Nicole Kessinger, talking about Nicole Kessinger and the occult. And I think that it goes so deep because the quartz crystals connects to the tar batteries that the girls were obscenely and tragically and horrifically put in. I mean,
quartz crystals are used in watches, and they are the things that are used to, give things power. So it's not so far-fetched, but I just don't, I think it's far-fetched that she would be allowed to display it. But maybe Anadarko is one of those companies we're finding that the elite powers are controlling the world. I mean, I do believe that. I don't mean to get too conspiratorial, but I believe that there's only a few people at the top and they're pulling the strings. But I have heard Anadarko is like, it's not even one of the, it's not a top oil company, you know, like it's the redheaded stepchild of the oil companies. So I don't know, but maybe they did allow that kind of stuff.
And first of all, where Nicole took Chris camping prior, there was literally a woman who was drugged, gang harmed, and called her baby's father and told him everything that happened and was going to air them out. She found out they were trafficking humans and drugs. And at this place, I did a video on it called Crestone. So check out my Crestone video. As soon as she got done telling her boyfriend and another friend that she was going to air this trafficking human ring cult out, she disappeared. And they've been searching for her body. And during the search for her body during the day, over a 60-foot mining shaft, a huge...
Do you guys remember Nicole Kessinger mentioning all of this in her interview?
demon appeared. And not just any demon. It was the Phoenix of Maleficent. If you've ever seen the Maleficent movie, the demon form.
The Maleficent movie has always actually scared me, and I've never watched it because Maleficent seems a little too real to me.
Crystal Ann Risinger was the woman's name, which is very similar to Nichol Kessinger. Crystal Ann Risinger moved there because she was a medium and she wanted to use her talents. She went there first, and then she was going to get settled and send for her boyfriend and her child. And like I said, this place is a hidden location. It is not known to the public. So it took a lot for her to get in there. It's a secret.
NK Ultra. I love that. NK Ultra. That's perfect. Let's go on. There's more people talking about this. This is Amanda Vita's channel. So recently, a TikToker went viral for telling her stories after having worked at Anadarko. Oh, this is a different one. This is actually a different TikToker that went viral. This was a woman. No, actually, this was the woman whose husband knew this guy that said it. That's what it is. This is a conspiracy, you guys. So I don't blame you if you want to tune out and don't believe any of this. So, but I've seen this floating around the internet. Recently, a TikTok went viral for telling her stories after, and we've shared this here before, after having worked at Anadarko after Chris Watts unalived his family. Her accounts weren't well embraced, and her life story was exploited on Reddit during the investigation. Not many people have spoken out, and people have not been kind to her with all the fake stories out there. It's hard to say if she is being truthful, but either way, everyone should be kind. Not everyone lies. For now, just listen. I think believe her, but I have questions. So edit, she did not know the Watts family. So let's move it forward. I think she's got music at the beginning. Shoot, hold on.
And no, I didn't know him personally, but I knew people who did, and I have like 2 or 3 stories. So let me know if you want to hear those. But today, I just wanted to say that the friends, the family, and the neighbors have asked for people to stop going up to the house. And they have given every single last one of us true crime blue balls. Boo.
How hard did puberty?
Like I said before, I have a few stories about Chris Watts, so this will just be part 1. One of the biggest misconceptions of this case was a bold-faced lie that the media told, saying that nobody saw this coming. I had worked there for 3 fucking days before someone had told me that his mistress used to go to his job site, pick him up so that he could leave his truck there, and then drop him off when he was supposed to get off of his shift so that he could drive home to Shanann and the girls. His mistress kept saying that she didn't know that he had a wife and kids. Stupid ass bitch. She's a fucking liar, and she had something to do with it. I just fucking know it. So yeah, anyway, people saw her with him multiple times. When I was told this, I immediately asked, why didn't anyone tell Shanann? This person looked me dead in the eyes and told me that no one said anything because no one wanted to be a part of the drama.
You know, that's a good point. Why didn't anyone just go tell Shanann? Would you have gone and told Shanann? It would have been hard to, if I was friendly with her, not say something, right? Are you that type of friend that would say something or wouldn't say something? I've actually had people that their significant other has hit on me, and instead of telling them, I decided, this was when I was younger, I ended the friendship with them because I knew somehow I would be the problem. So that's kind of how I treated it back then. But nowadays I would tell the friend. I would just tell them and just let them end the friendship if they want to. But back in the day, that's how I handled it. But how do you handle it if you aren't even really doing a friendship and you know what's happening?
So when the news broke loose, everyone decided that they were going to save their own ass and say, oh, we didn't know. They all knew. So, like I said before, I have a few stories about Chris. Didn't want to make this a video response, but I'm blocked from commenting for some reason. So yes, I will make another video, just not today because the Minecraft update just happened and I really want to go play that. But I will post another video tomorrow morning. So if you guys have any questions, I can try to answer them and just comment them below. I'll do my best. Didn't want to make... No, I didn't delete the video. There were a few things that I really wanted to clear up. The video that has someone walking up to the house, that's not my video. So stop coming for me because it's not me. I didn't know Shanann. I didn't know Chris. My stories are from my coworkers who did know them. So stop asking me why I didn't tell Shanann because I literally couldn't have. One thing I will go further into depth with is the question, did he talk about his family? The answer is no, not really. If they were brought up by somebody else, he would talk about his family, but he himself never really brought up his family at all. There was one specific instance that a coworker had told me about where her husband, who works on the ground, used to work with Chris, and he knew that Chris always had his family's pictures in his wallet because when they would go to lunch, he would pull out his wallet, he would see it, and then around the time he started seeing his mistress, they went away. But they conveniently got there just in time for the police to get there.
And I just didn't automatically end the friendship. I told the person to stop, and I knew it was not going to stop. This happened a few times, and so I just ended the friendship because I knew, just from the friend, I knew it was going to be an issue and the friendship was going to end anyway. But I guess if I was a girl's girl, I would have told her and let, but I don't know. I feel guilty about not actually saying it, but I didn't want drama. I knew there was going to be drama, and I knew the friendship was going to end anyway from the drama. So I just cut out the drama and ended the friendship.
So apparently her husband asked about it, and he had said that he had lost them and he wanted better, new, updated pictures when the pictures were only like a year old.
If I am a girl's girl, I would never do that with somebody. It would actually, I've had in college, I was in a sorority that was actually a Greek society. So we were male and female. And so there was a lot of dating between us, and even then I wouldn't date somebody that had dated one of my besties, right? Because it felt like then I was having sex with my bestie. So no. So anyway, I'm a girl's girl, but that doesn't, to me, now I would handle it different, but I still don't want the drama. So I don't know if I would handle it different.
So dude knew what he was doing the whole time. But that's really all the time I have. I was only supposed to be gone 5 minutes to go get beer for my husband and I, and I've been gone 30 minutes. So let me know if you want to go more in depth with that story, because there's more detail, but yeah, there's that. I don't know how to fucking edit TikTok. I'm 24.
I am fully, Angel Grace says, Sloan Bella did a video about John Benet Ramsey and said a satanic child trafficking cult from the area was responsible for her disappearance. So yes, I do believe in the elite. The elite are doing very satanic things. So that's why thinking about Anadarko and it being an oil company, I don't know, my past, common sense, we grew up in a different era, and I never would have thought I would be openly, the world would be openly talking about UFOs and aliens. And I mean, I'm from I started in the 80s and 90s talking about aliens, and I was the wackadoodle, right? So even now when I'm talking about these things, I still like tiptoe around it because I don't want to sound like the wackadoodle, even though I've been the one that's talking about it for all this time. So, but still some stuff still is wackadoodle, and it's just trying to figure out what's wackadoodle and what's not. It's confusing these days, but yes. I live in Denver, and I can tell you there's a lot of dark things. There's a lot of dark things happening everywhere, and it's not just happening, it's happening in our schools. It's even churches are like covers for it. I think Scientology, there's a lot of crap going down in that. Just so much is happening in the world. It makes my head spin.
There were a few things that,
and it makes me wonder too, like I have always been a very spiritual person, and I believe in a higher power, and it just makes me terrified for those that are just kind of drifting out there and don't have that foundation of God or the creator or whatever takes you to the light. It's just because there's darkness, it has come to earth. It's here, and it's just going to get worse. So I just hope that you guys are surrounding yourself in love and God and whatever is your higher up there, because there's a lot of darkness.
Morning, everyone. I will be posting part 2 today. I'll be getting more into the story that I told earlier. I just wanted to clear up a few things about my first story before I continue on to the next, because there's a lot of you and I'm getting confused. A question that came up a lot was if certain people still work there, and the answer is no, mainly because Anadarko was sold to another company called Oxy, and in 2019, they completed the transition into Oxy. So a lot of people left. No one really talked about the other coworkers that came out and did interviews. It seemed like they alienated them a little bit. I asked, but everyone was like, nah, I don't know what they're doing, so... Did Chris Watts come off as perfect to his coworkers, like the media made him come off to the American people when the story came out? Kind of. People really just thought that he was a quiet guy. They knew he was a little hot-headed. They knew he had financial issues, but they just thought he was a normal dude going through some normal life.
I believe that he truly, because he worked at that persona. He crafted that. He's one of those. My background is in BA and sociology, but I would never diagnose them. But a psychopath crafts that. That's just my opinion. He's never been diagnosed, but they carefully craft these things, and I think he's a narcissist too. So yeah,
shit. But he definitely showed signs of being a family eliminator. I can never say that fucking word. Family eliminator. Thank you. The first time I heard that phrase was on last podcast on the left, and I haven't been able to say it since. And also, shout out to Henry Zabrowski. Please.
Do any of you all have that problem where I can say annihilator, but there's certain words in my head I can say them quite clearly, but then when I try to say them, they don't come out right.
Your weed in Colorado. Thanks. Did the news lie about how long Chris and Nicole were together? No, that is very true. They were not together that long. Is Chris Watts gay? Probably. Probably.
I believe he is bisexual 100%. I believe that this is one of the reasons why he actually unalived Shanann. I think he was doing these type of things. I think that one of the reasons why he pled so fast was that he didn't want these bad deeds coming out, because he doesn't want his family to know. I think 100%.
Morning, everyone.
See how sure I am on that?
Well, it's the morning, and I promised part 2 in the morning, so here we go. I'm going to go more into depth with the story about the wallet. I'm not going to be sharing my coworker's name because I don't want to get in trouble. I still might. As I said before, my coworker's husband had seen pictures of the family in Chris's wallet before. He had asked about them before. Chris had shown him pictures before and had proudly showed him his daughters at one point, which is weird because it makes it almost seem like he loved the kids, which he obviously fucking didn't. And as I mentioned before, my coworker's husband had seen that the pictures were gone one day and had asked about them. Chris had said that he lost them, but it was okay because he wanted to get more updated pictures. My coworker.
So he took the pictures allegedly out of his wallet before they were even unalived.
Her husband, their family, they had all gotten their pictures done, so her husband was trying to give Chris a reference to a photographer. This part really stuck with me because it's kind of a foreshadow into what people were saying about Shanann later. Chris apparently had looked at the husband and said something along the lines of that he would pass the information on to Shanann because she was the brains of the operation. She controlled everything. He was just the asshole in the background taking orders. Apparently, there was a couple of times after this conversation happened where the pictures would just randomly be back in his wallet again. He was asked about it, and he just said that he got new copies of the old photos because he just wanted his kids in his wallet. But
sounds to me like he was having multiple affairs, and when he would go out on, like, when men take off their ring, you know, and he probably just forgot to put them back in his wallet. But what kind of weirdo takes the pictures of your kids out of the wallet? Just
that's it for the wallet story. My coworker's husband actually worked with Chris up until about a month before he got caught, and most of my stories come from her, so just be prepared for me to say my coworker's husband a lot because I don't want to name them and I don't know what else to call them. Jim. We're gonna call him Jim, and the wife will be called.
Leave Jim alone.
We'll just call her Judith. So my coworker is gonna be called Judith, and my coworker's husband is gonna be called Jim. So everybody got that? Okay, good. And I'm just going to remind everybody, because I keep seeing the comment, and I know it's going to keep coming, Jim and Judith were not close with Chris. Jim just worked with Chris for like a month and a half, and there's a few stories and interactions with him just like with any other coworker. I didn't expect this to get that big. I hope they don't have my contact information anymore. I haven't worked there in a while. I only have one of my emails. I just won't check it. Well, it's the morning, and I promised part 2 in the morning, so some of you fucks are absolutely ridiculous. It's like 2 people going hard on my page trying to like pick apart everything, calling me a liar. Bro, people ask to hear these stories. I am just telling you them. That doesn't mean that I believe them 100%. Do I think that Jim really asked Chris about his pictures in his wallet? No, I think he decided to spice it up a little bit after everything already happened, but it was what I was told, so that's why I was telling you. It's as simple as it gets. Might be a hot take, but reading Reddit while you're taking a shit doesn't make you a true crime expert. You're not a psychologist.
Okay, it sounds like now she's just defending herself. So what do you guys think about that? I do actually agree with her about, it sounds to me like Jim was just trying to spice things up a little bit. Over here on True Crime Rocket, he talks about coworker who are spilling the beans on Kessinger.
I kind of beg to differ a little bit, just because, for example, the anonymous coworker talks about Chris Watts sort of showing up at the Platteville office, and there's absolutely no sign of that in the GPS footage. And not only that, there's no other coworker who says that. So if it's true that he did show up at the office, there's only one witness saying that he did, and where everybody else.
I've heard this recently too, that there was a coworker saying that he actually showed up at the office. Have you heard this too, you guys?
Don't say that he did.
It makes things so muddled and confusing.
Did. And I don't really know what time he could have showed up at the office, if he was at the well site and then he sort of came back from the well site straight home. So it kind of calls that into question. What is quite interesting, and it's unfortunate that the channel didn't sort of question the anonymous worker a little bit more about it, was the office politics at Anadarko. On the one hand, you can kind of understand that he's not free to be.
Actually, that one woman that we just watched, I'm going to try to reach out to her and see if she wants to do an interview, because I am very interested in the office politics. I can't help it. In the discovery near the beginning, another woman says in a statement that she had an affair with him. Oh, really? Oh, is it the Amanda woman? I've got a little intel on the Amanda woman. I believe that he possibly, this is just my opinion, though, I believe that Chris Watts might have gotten um, the substances that he used in North Carolina from Amanda, because she was addicted, and she even did a news thing saying that she's in recovery, but I know somebody who worked with her, and Amanda was allegedly taking some of those substances from other people's purses. So she would have been a good person to get those type of substances from. And so that's why I put more into Amanda and believing also Trent, because and then it's now come out that Trent is connected to NK. I mean, unless NK threw Trent out as a red herring. Wasn't it a strange coincidence about the baby and the oil? Yeah, that was at Nate's. That was really weird. That was a spooky kind of, like, I believe they were, Shanann was trying to talk from the grave there. Yeah, reportedly has those pictures on the cell wall, which I don't think should be allowed, and I don't think he should be allowed to get married. I think if you unalive your children, you should be done in the relationships. It just shouldn't happen anymore. And no, you shouldn't be able to glorify them with pictures. It just seems to me like he could lay there and relive the moment over and over again with pictures, right? Because we've got him in there for life so that he doesn't ever do it again. So we must have some kind of feeling like he could do it again. So if he did it, did he enjoy doing it? Does he think about it? Does he get off on it? I mean, it's all possible. And then he's got these pictures up of them while he's doing it, while he's, ugh. Yeah, I think it's Amanda that we're talking about.
Too candid about that sort of thing, because as far as I know, he still works at Anadarko. We're not quite sure what his identity is. His wife's name's Ashley. We don't know too much beyond that. He does certainly make some interesting observations. He says that while Shanann was away, that they him and his wife noticed that Watts was never home. So for most of July, he was just sort of AWOL. He would come home from work and then he wouldn't be home. The other thing is, he thought that he saw Chris Watts. I think he said that him and his wife thought they saw a woman in a vehicle with Chris Watts, but a woman that wasn't his wife. Now, I'm not quite sure what vehicle that was. I presume it might be the Lexus or Kessinger's car, but probably the Lexus. And then I think he said something.
They take the Lexus to either the racetrack or the museum that day. She was in the car, she said, twice.
About Watts accelerated when this guy tried to sort of catch up with him. So, that certainly gives you kind of a sense of the reality of the situation, right? The other thing that doesn't quite kind of make sense is that he says Kessinger didn't show up to work at all on the 13th. Now, either this means that there's some kind of conspiracy going on in terms of at the office, a lot of people are covering for her or something like that, or he simply didn't see her. She was there, but he simply didn't see her. She was in her office, but he simply didn't see her. I don't know. I don't know if it's... And so I do know that when he mentioned this, someone on the channel sort of went like, oh, wow, that's amazing. One person saying they didn't see something doesn't mean that that's a fact. It just means that was their experience. They may have just missed Kessinger, right? So I don't know. This anonymous coworker sort of gives quite a glowing endorsement of Chris Watts. He sort of says, I realized that he did what he did, although he seems to put the blame on Kessinger, that Kessinger actually did something, that she was actually there. But what also does sort of pass that sort of smell test is where he says that he thinks that when Chris Watts lost weight, it kind of went to his head. When he got attention from Kessinger, it also went to his head. He also mentions, I don't know whether this is true, but this is his opinion or his observation, was that he said that Kessinger flirted with a lot of people at work or something to that effect, and
I
used
believe that. She's a huge flirt. Yeah, she didn't punch in that morning. The first time ever she doesn't punch in the morning of Chris Watts's family going missing, and the police don't think that's weird.
other kind of unsavory words to describe her. And according to him, a lot of the guys didn't really respond, but Chris Watts did. Now, I have actually in the past raised this whole issue of the fact that the oil industry is a male-dominated workplace, and Kessinger was sort of in this situation as a kind of a single woman surrounded by these sort of young bucks. And so
But she
surely
loved
there
it.
had
She wanted it that way. She was one of those women like, I'm just one of the guys. I'm just one of the guys, right? Like I could hear her say that. I don't have female friends. I get along with men better. Yeah, she's one of those, I bet.
to have been some sort of sexual tension, sexual awareness, sexual awakening, whatever. And in this situation, Chris Watts was kind of a sitting duck. I mean, here is this woman who seemed to have quite a big appetite in that sense, and Chris Watts had very little experience with the opposite sex, and he's not happy in his marriage. Maybe his wife was happy, but he wasn't very happy in his marriage. And then he meets this woman, and she's kind of pursuing, it seems, not, I wouldn't say anyone, but she's in general looking for love, I guess, looking for someone. We know she was also on the eHarmony app. And what's happened to be in that situation?
She was on the eHarmony app to make him jealous. That was one of her tools that she was using to seal the deal with Chris Watts. And I just can't get it out of my mind why he thought that she was such a catch. You know, she was such a catch when she looks a lot like Shanann, like the article says, but only she's just not pizzazz. She doesn't have that oomph. She doesn't have makeup, and she doesn't, I mean, and not every woman needs makeup. I don't wear makeup. I don't wear a lot of makeup, and I don't think I need it. And Shanann didn't wear a lot of makeup, but I don't even know if she wore any makeup, and she didn't have like beautiful skin. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What was the beauty that Chris saw in Kessinger? Speaking of beauty, I want to show you something gorgeous. Gorgeous. Something that I'm in love with. This. And it's the sponsor of today's show. Wild deodorant. She's gorgeous, navy, bold, floral, and fresh. This is the new Wild Marble Ditzy case, a classic floral with modern charm that'll take you from pedal to the pits in style. Would this fit your guys' vibe or even your decor? What do you guys think? I love it. Snag yours today and get 20% off your first order with code Parawomen at shopwildrefill.com/Parawomen. It's actually sold out. I looked this morning. People are really loving this design, but it'll be back soon. And it's pretty gorgeous. And it comes for deodorant. They have a new roll-on deodorant, and you can also, I believe, get it in the soap. So thank you, Wild, for supporting us. Thank you guys if you decide you want to try it. All right, guys. I'm going to see what you guys are saying in the comments, and then we're going to take it out watching Troy's interrogation. I will come down into the comments with you and watch it. I won't interrupt it, and then we'll go straight to the outro. So let me see what you guys are saying, because I do want to start looking at Troy. Everything that I do is just a start. I feel like we're going to be doing more and more and more because Troy is fascinating to me. I haven't really looked at him. This is my first time really getting into Troy. I've watched his interrogation here and there, but I don't think I've ever watched it in its entirety, to be honest with you, or fully, like straight through. NK was trying to get CW to go back to his interests and hobbies that CW had given up to support his family, grass greener scenario. Yeah, maybe. That happens a lot, though. I've noticed, like when people get married and they have kids, they can't do their hobbies as much as they would like to. So yeah, definitely grass is greener. With Ellie knowing what NK has done in the past, why didn't they interview NK? I don't know. It's in the more severely instead of treating NK like a victim. I don't know. I just saw a comment just the other day that she was a victim. Indeed, they treated her that way from the beginning. I agree. The pictures, they're his victims, 100%. And he shouldn't be able to sit there and stare at his victims and possibly get excited about what he's done. Because we don't know if he's that type. He didn't seem the type to do what he did. So I don't think people really know. I don't think anybody really knows who Chris Watts is except Chris Watts. Okay, so I'm going to get this queued up and take it out. I'm going to say goodbye now and come down into the comments because I don't like to interrupt during interrogations unless I have somebody up on panel and we're going through it point by point, and I'm not going to be doing that. So I want to just get a fresh ears on Troy, talk to you guys in the comments what you feel he's saying, and we'll do it that way. So let me make sure, though. I just want to make sure I got everything. My dream is to one day have actually 2 monitors where I can go back and forth and not get lost in my comments or in my tabs. But I bet you what would happen then is I would be saying things like, oh, I've got 2 monitors. I can't keep track of them both. You know, I'd have to come up with some excuse. I know myself too well. Okay, yeah. Oh, well, I'll give this to you. I'll ask you this question. Do you want to go directly? I have one more thing and it's off the subject, but I saw this. I can put it for next Weird Watts Wednesday, or we can throw it in now. But I thought this was interesting. I hadn't seen this. Chris Watts celebrates his daughter's 10th birthday from prison after unaliving her. Are you guys interested in taking a peek at that before we head out, or do you want we could do, since we've been talking about Chris Watts in prison and having the photos up on my next one, I could talk about these prison photos and his celebrations of the birthdays and the holidays and the things he has to say behind bars, what he misses. Would that be a good thing for you guys? Would you be interested in that? Because I know he's talked about the food he misses behind, you know, and Thanksgiving, he talked about never having a fried turkey. So he's probably never going to ever have a fried turkey. Now he's talking about celebrating Cece's 10th birthday behind bars. Would that be something? Okay, thank you stopping by, Claire. See you later. Yes, please, Amy, that would be great about the 10th birthday. Me making a show or watching it before we go out? I mean, I guess let's watch it. Let's watch part of it. And then, well, I don't know. I don't want to muddy up the waters. I'm not going to muddy up the waters. I'll make it for next Weird Watts Wednesday where I do that. Where we look at Chris Watts behind bars. I'll try to get a panel guest to come up, somebody that's been in prison that knows a little bit about holidays and keeping pictures and all of that. So that'll be next Wednesday. Okay, so let's take it out on Troy McCoy interrogation. Let me find it. Mhm. Where is it? There it is. This is Troy McCoy's interrogation video. Okay, guys, if nobody's told you this today, and even if they have, I'm still going to tell you guys this. I love you guys so much, and you're so important to me. And thank you so much for being here. This is Troy McCoy's interrogation, and I'm Amy, and this is the Power Network.
So that's why I was telling you the other day. I thought I arrived on location about 8:30.
Okay.
To 9.
So
somewhere in that ballpark.
So if you got that phone call at 7:40, how long did you guys talk? You remember?
Yeah, it was
Does it
2
say?
minutes.
2 minutes. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because he asked me where I was at, and I told him I pulled over to take his phone call at the Helg out there. And then he told me he was at the serving at 319, and I said, I'll be out there in a minute because Chad was going to have you come out to that 1029 anyway.
Okay.
So I told him I'd head to that 319.
Okay. Was Chris scheduled to go to 319 that morning?
He told me on Friday, whenever we spoke with Cody, because he was right there, because I took the call on Bluetooth because I was parked in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he found out about the leak, he said, I'll go out and look at that thing first thing Monday morning.
Chris said he was going to go out first thing Monday morning.
First thing Monday morning.
And take a look at the 319.
Yes, sir. To try to verify that whether or not that line was leaking or not.
Hey guys, I just realized that this has music behind it, and I don't like that. I'm going to try to find another one that doesn't have music because I don't know if that's going to get copywritten or whatever. So I'm going to quickly grab a different one. Okay, here's one.
Clarify some timeline stuff.
Okay.
And ask a few more questions if you're all right with that.
Yes, sir.
So let's see. 8, 17, 18. What the fuck? Is it MCCOY?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's your date of birth, Troy?
3/26/1985.
85. What's your home address?
3184 49th Avenue Court, Greeley, Colorado.
49th Avenue Court.
Yes, sir.
Kind of unusual.
Oh man, so many people get lost coming to my house because there's another 49th, but it's just I think Avenue and not Court.
Yeah.
And it's up on the north side of town.
Totally other end. Yeah, right.
So
You got the street roads, the avenue, sightings.
They need to rename their streets there, sounds like.
It
What's the
actually
zip
makes
up there?
80634.
80634. All right. And that number I called you on, is that a work phone?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a personal phone?
Yeah. I don't remember it since
That's
I
fine.
changed it.
That's no
Because
problem.
we're from Kansas, so
Oh, we are?
I had that one memorized.
Where are you from, Kansas?
Elkhart.
I don't know
Far
where that
southwest
is.
corner.
Okay.
My number is 970-238-0358.
All right. How recent is that?
This number?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've had it for 8 months or so.
Oh, for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just can't remember. I can't remember my work phone number.
Yeah, no problem.
I actually have it written down in my pickup so I can give it to people to call me.
Right. So, okay. So let's cover some timeline stuff here.
Yes, sir.
So let's start with on Sunday. So Sunday would be the 12th.
Yes.
Did you talk to
No,
Chris
sir.
at all on the
I didn't
12th?
speak to him over the weekend. I seen him on Friday.
Seen him on Friday. So that was the last time you saw him before the
Monday.
work week.
Yes.
Okay.
I seen him on Friday, and he'd taken off Friday to take Shanann to the airport for Phoenix.
Okay.
And then he told me he wanted me to look at his Fire Stick that he bought. I said, okay. So
Oh, like TV Fire Stick?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Amazon Fire Stick.
Sure.
So before the workday ended on Friday, he's told me that he'd meet me at the Safeway parking lot there in Fort Lupton. And he showed up in their Lexus, and Bella and CC were in the back seat. So he jumped out, gave me the fire stick, and right after he gave me the fire stick, that's whenever Cody called. Cody Roberts, the operator of the Circuit 319, and said that he thought there was a leak in the bypass line.
And that's on 319, you said?
Yes, the Circuit 319.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because that bypass line is now locked and tagged out because we done that Monday morning.
Okay. Okay, so Bella
and CC, or
CC,
Celeste. Yeah,
CC were in the back seat.
Yes, sir.
And was Shanann?
No, sir.
Was
He'd
she in
already
front?
taken her to the airport.
You already took her there.
Yes.
Do you remember what time this was?
I look back to my text messages I gave you because he told me he was sitting by the 5.0. There was an orange Mustang sitting in the parking lot.
Okay.
I think it was one of the ladies that well, it looked just like the one I used to have because I had a red one. I was telling you about that earlier.
Yeah.
So, and he's a huge Ford guy because he was a master mechanic.
Yeah, I remember you said something about that.
Sorry.
No problem.
Chris Watts. Okay. Okay, thanks. Forward your link. You just sent it there. Okay, right here. It's at 3:05.
Okay.
Just wanted to send me the text message. Here, parked next to the orange 5.0.
Okay.
So.
And he's driving the white Lexus?
Yes, sir. And Bill and CC were both in the back. They were buckled up in their car seat. And he had pulled forward in the parking spot, and I pulled back here. And he was talking to me for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 minutes, and he could hear him hollering in there. So he got back in the Lexus, and he backed it up so they could see me. And they waved at me and everything like that.
Okay. All right. And so you have no text conversation, no phone conversation, nothing like that over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday?
No, sir. Nothing.
Okay. So Monday morning,
okay.
What time do you leave to go to work?
I usually leave my house about 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Is that supposed to be here about 6:30?
Here at the office?
Yes.
So did you come straight to the office on,
yes, sir, I did.
On Monday morning?
Yeah.
So 8:13.
Yeah. And I received a phone call from him Monday morning, but I couldn't answer while I was driving. So you can see in here, it's phone call decline.
Okay. But do you have the time
yes,
on
sir,
that
I'll
one?
get the timestamp for you. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, that's right. Monday. Chris Watts, right here. He called me.
It's the same time.
See, and call canceled because I was driving because I
Okay.
can't accept that.
Yeah.
And that's 6:43.
So you got so incoming from Chris.
At 6:43. I have to drink water all the time. I have a partial put in about 1.5 years ago. And my goodness, man, you get freaking dry mouth from the
Really?
thing.
Okay, so incoming, but you declined it because it's on
Yes,
your
sir,
work phone and it tracks all that.
Well, my work phone is set up through my Bluetooth in my phone or my truck.
Okay.
And with that geotab, it can tell when
It's gonna
you take a
tell.
call
Okay.
whenever you're driving.
And you're gonna get busted for that.
Yeah,
Is that right?
you will get slapped.
Okay.
Yeah, because that came down from Keith Nosich, and he's pretty high up in the company.
All right.
He said that we can't use them anymore.
Okay.
So.
That's when you're driving out to the site.
No, sir. That's when I was driving to work.
Driving to work.
6:23.
So apparently you'd gotten to work a little bit after
Yeah,
6:45.
I would have been running behind that day then.
Okay. Do you remember about what time you got here?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Can we check you guys can run my geotab if that helps, whatever you guys need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, no problem. You might need that.
Yeah.
No.
That's the important stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
That's right. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. So you come in the office between 6:45 and 7. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that would be fair.
Okay.
Because I always try to hit up the burrito guy that comes at 7:30.
Okay.
Gabriel.
So did you get a burrito that morning?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And he's here by 7:30.
Yes. He's usually here about 7:30 and just a little bit after.
Okay. So when you come to the office, what's your routine?
When I come to the office, I always park on the north side of the parking lot down here where my truck is now. And I walk through those doors. I come directly in the doors, and then I go into the breaker. Because that break room to the south or the north end of the office is where all of our guys sit. The whole team's there usually. And then Luke's office is right down the way, so I just always park on that.
Okay. So you come in. Do you get like your assignments for the day to check on?
Well, I come in, I pull
check
up my computer.
Okay.
My work laptop. I can check Signet, whatever the case is. Usually, since I'm a lead or field coordinator, I go in and I talk with Luke and or talk with Chad because Chad's also a field coordinator.
That's Chad McNeil.
Yes, sir.
So when you come in and check with those guys, what do you establish your
We just
route for the day or your
yeah,
routine
we
for the
discuss
day?
the
Or
topics for the day. I mean,
Okay.
whatever a gentleman needs. I sent out an email last week on Friday night telling them that we need to start checking plungers in our wells because they're supposed to be checked quarterly, would be what Anadarko is supposed to require. So a lot of our new guys do not feel comfortable with that procedure. So, I just talked to them, see if they need help anywhere, what was going on for that day. And Chad told me that we were going to start the Survey 1029, which is a pumping unit.
Mhm.
So he'd like to have me out there that day. And we was going to test that back pressure line on the 319 to verify that there was a leak.
On 319, let's check what
Verify that there was a leak on the back pressure line.
on the back pressure.
Yes, the same one that Cody called me about on Friday, sir. I told you I spoke to Cody whenever I talked to Chris.
Yeah, okay. That's what he mentioned, the stain on the ground. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct?
Yeah, the stain on the ground.
Yep. Okay, so there was a problem with the 319.
Okay.
Having a leak, is that correct?
Yes, there
Okay,
was.
okay.
Yeah, in the bypass line, we were able to verify that.
So the back pressure in the bypass line?
Well, I think they're one and the same. I don't know which one it is. It's the one that goes up on the top hill of the tank. Verify it, because that survey set up kind of weird because it's all older stuff.
Mm.
But we have logged and tagged there. It's the first line as you're walking to the stairs. Right over on your right hand side is that first line because that's where the staining was, and it's at the elbow underneath the ground is where I think the threads washed out.
Okay.
So there was oil bubbling up from there, and that's what caused the stain.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, what time do you leave here on Monday? Approximate.
Approximately, burrito guy comes at 7:30. Might have talked to the guys for like another 10 minutes. So probably 7:40. I was on the road.
Okay.
Ish.
It's probably, so we call it 7:45 on the road.
Yeah, I would say so, sir.
Okay. So do you remember that day where you headed first?
My first location was going to be to head out to Survey.
So, well, okay.
The
Do you
Survey
remember
319.
the 319 or the 1029?
No, it was a 319 because they were testing that bypass line because I had the call from Chris here. Let me verify. That was at 6:43 when I told you about it.
Mhm.
And then I talked to Chad McNeil. And then after that, I talked to Chris again at 7:40 a.m. incoming call because I just left the office.
So 7:40 a.m. You got was it another call from Chris?
Yeah, it was another call from Chris. So by
Okay.
7:40, whenever I pulled over to take this phone call, I believe I was at the intersection of Old County Road 37 and I think it's 18 right there where the hell got theirs is.
So 37 and 18.
Yes, I had to pull over to the side of the road and park right because they're building a new construction there.
Okay.
The Gracie horizontals are going in, so the hell got theirs is the old location that held that lease. So I just pulled off the road right there to be able to take the call.
How far is that from here?
How far is that from the office?
Yeah. I'm sorry, how far, where you took that call, how far is that from here?
From the 319?
No, from here.
From the office.
From the office, yeah.
Okay. I don't know, you just go right down to 22, you turn on 22. So I'd say about maybe 10 minutes. So maybe I left right after the burrito.
Okay.
So, I mean, we can pull up my geotab, guys. That way I'm not, over the timeline.
So what do you and Chris talk about?
What's going on the field? Because he told me he was at the Survey 319 and then he was going to test the bypass line. I said,
Okay.
okay, I'll be out there in just a minute to be able to help you. But I mean, of course, I'm at County Road 52 and 37. So that's going to take me a while to get out to Survey.
How long would it take you to get to Survey 319 from where you stopped to take this phone call?
From where I stopped to take the phone call, you got to get back on County Road 52, head all the way to Hudson, then we jump on I-76, just like Luke took you guys out to Survey. So probably about another 40 minutes to be able to get there from the drive time.
Okay.
So that's why I was telling you the other day, I thought I arrived on location about 8:30
Okay.
to 9,
So
somewhere in that ballpark.
So if you got that phone call at 7:40, how long did you guys talk? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was
Does
2
it say?
minutes.
2 minutes? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because he asked me where I was at, and I told him I pulled over to take his phone call at the hell got theirs. And then he told me he was at the Survey 319, and I said, I'll be out there in a minute because Chad was going to have you come out to that 1029 anyway.
Okay.
So I told him I'd head to that 319.
Okay. Was Chris scheduled to go to 319 that morning?
He told me on Friday, whenever we spoke with Cody, because he was right there, because I took the call on Bluetooth because I was parked in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever he found out about the leak, he said, I'll go out and look at that thing first thing Monday morning.
Chris said he was going to go out first thing Monday morning.
First thing Monday morning.
And take a look at the 319.
Yes, sir. To try to verify that whether or not that line was leaking or not. And I believe he called Cody. When I talked to Cody, he called Cody on Friday or Sunday at 5 p.m. and told him that he was going to head out to Survey first thing Monday morning.
Okay, so the fact that he was there already and calling you about the 319 was no surprise.
No, I just he was just telling me that yeah he was out on location and everything. I said okay, I'll be out there in a little bit. That was it.
Right. And so it took you approximately 40 minutes to drive out there.
Yeah,
So now we're probably what 8:40, 8:30, somewhere in that range.
8:30, 8:40.
Okay. So when you get out there, who's out there when you get there?
When I arrive on location, Chris is parked by the wellheads.
Okay.
Or the one wellhead of that location.
Yep.
Then we have Chad McNeil.
When you say he's parked by the wellhead, where is he?
Okay.
Like here,
you guys have a picture of location?
Yeah.
Okay, and I can show you exactly where his truck was parked because his truck was parked where the headlights were facing toward the wellhead. Okay, his truck was parked right here.
And
his headlights. Yeah.
Draw his car on there for me.
You want me to try to draw a car?
That is just a box.
Okay, a box. I'm like, I didn't know I was going to be testing home and drilling.
Yeah, right. So which way is he facing?
The headlights of the pickup are facing toward the wellhead.
Okay, so let's see. So if I do this and say that his truck is pointed that way.
Yeah, well, more of an angle where it's pointed directly at the wellhead.
Okay.
So yeah, that's exactly. It was pointed. His headlights were pointed directly at the wellhead.
Okay. All right. And who else is there?
Melissa Parrish and Chad McNeil.
And where are they?
They are parked right here on location, sir.
Just on the other side
Yes,
of the
with
wellhead.
their trucks facing
kind of where we're parked here.
Yeah, their trucks were facing toward the exit. Like
Okay.
They pulled in and kind of circled and parked right here, and I parked right over here.
Okay.
Are those typical spots to park?
Yeah, I mean, I was just pulling up so we're not in any way because we're supposed to pull up where you don't have to back or anything like that. So I usually try to pull around or pull back far enough where I know that if there's a truck parked over here, I can pull around and get away, so I don't have to have anybody move their vehicles or back up, because if they back up, then that sends a designation.
Okay. Was that a usual place for somebody to park where Chris parked?
Now that I think about it, it is unusual.
Why do you say that?
Well, if you're going to test the bypass line, to me, it would make
Where
more
is that
sense.
bypass line?
Okay, the bypass line is coming off your separator, or I thought that, if I'm not mistaken, sir, I think the bypass line and the back pressure line are tied in, one and the same.
Okay.
And the back pressure line comes off from the front of the doghouse on the separator. And then the back pressure line is back here by the flow line, where it comes in at the header of the separator, where the gas and the oil enter the separator.
Okay.
And those lines run directly underneath and then come right back over here to the edge of the tank, where both of those lines come up and on top of the tank.
And that leak was in here, correct?
Yes, sir. It
Okay.
was right there by the stairs, right as you go up the catwalk. So to me, I'm lazy. If I pull up on location, I would pull up over in here somewhere. I would have took this circle right here and stopped right here in order to be closer to the separator and everything to be able to test that bypass line.
Okay. So by him parking here, he kind of blocks this.
Yeah,
access.
Nobody could circle around the wellhead.
Okay. Is it normal for somebody to park in that fashion?
No. Well, I mean, now that I think what's all's happened, no. But I mean, at first, it didn't even flag anything for me. But that's where his truck was parked.
Okay.
So I mean, to me, no. If you're going to go out there and test the bypass line, and that's all you had to do, then I would have parked over here to be able to be closer to this and this.
Okay. Plus, I'd imagine you have to get some tools out of your truck.
Yeah, crescent wrench, whatever.
Do whatever.
You gotta do to be able to pressure up the vessel.
Okay.
What tools did he have out?
Whenever I got there, everybody carries a crescent wrench in their back pocket. Whenever I arrived on location, he used his shovel to dig out the hole right there at the bypass line.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever I got there, they'd already verified that the bypass line or back pressure line, whichever one that is, failed, and that it was leaking underneath ground, because you could see like a little bitty puddle right there. And Chad McNeil, when he got his lockout tag out, he put it on the bypass line, and I think they did the bypass line at the separator to make sure it was locked out in both directions, so pressure couldn't get in there and feed any more up, so we wouldn't have any further contamination. And then after that, Chad and Melissa, they pulled away since I parked over here with Chris, and Chris went back to his truck to check his phone. So I grabbed his shovel from right here and I walked it back over to his pickup and handed it to him. And he said, no, there's still, since that stain's still there and the dirt's already stained, we're going to put that back in there. So then he filled back in the hole, and then he came back over to the pickup. And then after that, he left first because I told him I grabbed the gate. So he got out of here, went through, and then I followed behind him and I closed the gate behind me.
Okay. So when you get there.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, let me back up.
Yeah, whatever you need.
So you get there, Chris is parked here.
Yes, sir.
And say who else was there already?
Chad McNeil,
Chad
on location, and
Okay, so
Melissa Parrish. They were already there
Chad
before me.
and Melissa are both on scene. As
Because Cody Roberts was over at the 1029. Cody was already out of survey, but he was at the 1029 because he was going to start that pump unit.
He said he was already out of survey, just like generic ranch or at this site.
Oh, no, not at this site. Survey Ranch is the way we speak upon it is consistent of those 7 sites about serving. And the 1029, if you enter the gate from the south, which I'm sure you guys did when you went out there, because that's the only entrance that they are supposed to allow us to go through. As you go up, instead of curving back to go to the 319, you continue to go straight. There's like a little riverbed right there that you cross over and go back into, and that's where the pumping unit is.
Okay. All right. So you get on scene. Chad and Melissa already there.
Yes, sir.
And Chris.
Yes.
Anybody else?
No.
Okay. Do you see what Chad and Melissa are doing?
They were just over there by the bypass line.
Over here?
Yes.
Over here?
Yeah, over there by the bypass line.
Okay. Were all 3 of them over here?
Confirming that. Yes. When
Okay.
I pulled up on location, all 3 of them were over there.
Okay. Anything seem unusual?
No.
Just out of the ordinary?
No. Well, as soon as I pulled up, and I talked to Chad McNeil about this because he remembered me making a comment that I didn't even remember. As soon as I walked out on location, I got out of my truck, and Chris is usually fairly decently dressed man. He's always got on pretty tight fitting FRs, like really, like he wears area pants.
What's FR?
Fire resistant clothing. He usually wears that. He was wearing a blue shirt that was baggy, looked like he had like an older shirt for him.
So it wasn't a fire resistant shirt?
It was.
It was.
It was a fire resistant shirt, but different companies make different styles of t-shirts. And this is not something that, I was used to seeing him in. It was kind of a baggy t-shirt.
Okay. And
then he had a pair of pull-on boots. And from every time that I can remember out in the field, he had an old pair of boots that he was lace up, so the toe was about to come off of. And then here about 3 weeks ago, he bought a brand new pair of Red Wing boots down at the FR store here in Platteville, and he always wore those. So when I seen him, on those, I was like, "What, you slumming it today, bud?" And he laughed, and that was it. That was all it was. But I didn't notice that it was, out of the ordinary. I just figured, okay, well, if he didn't get a lot of sleep last night and he was in a rush, he just grabbed what he had and went out to location.
Okay.
But I think it was a pair of Red Wing pull-up boots, because I think the only style of boots he wears is Red Wing.
Okay.
What color was the shirt?
It was blue, a very dark blue, like a navy blue.
Okay. And that shirt was different than the shirts that he usually wore.
Yes. Well, usually he wears I believe it's Ariat that makes most of ours that come different down there. They're a little bit better looking.
What's the company name again?
Ariat.
How do you spell that?
I have no idea.
Is that the shirt you were wearing when we first spoke to you? Okay.
Yeah. Those style of t-shirts.
Okay.
Is
So
what
that's
we-
the more formal
shirts.
shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
They fit a little bit closer and stuff like that. But this other shirt he had, because like you guys had said the last time, he's lost a lot of weight here in like the last 6 months to a year. So I think it was one of his old shirts that he had, in his closet. Because I even have some old shirts like that. They're baggy as heck.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So he's wearing his old boots.
I would say
that
they're
are older.
I would say they're older because they're not his new ones. And I've only seen him that I've noticed wear lace-ups. And these were
And these are
slip-ons.
slip-ons.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the reason why drew my attention to them is it drives me nuts if anybody tucks their boots or their pants inside their boots and the boot deal showing. That drives me insane. So he had it like half tucked. It was weird because one side was down and the other side was tucked into his boot.
Okay.
So it instantly drew my attention.
And that's unusual for him. Is
Yeah,
he
well, yeah.
generally,
He's
when you
generally
see him, okay,
pretty good.
let me see if I can make this one make sense. So generally when you see him in a work setting,
Yes.
he's at least dressed. He's put together. I
Yes.
guess. Would
He's
that
dressed
be right?
appropriate, yes.
Okay. And
I mean-
not sloppily.
No, he looks like, a field coordinator looks.
Okay.
Because, the higher up you go and everything like that, people pay more and more attention to your dress.
Sure.
So I always try to come to work looking as nice as I possibly can. I've only got what God gave me. So, but, he was always nicely dressed.
Okay.
And that was just kind of threw me off. So I gave him shit about it. I just made that comment.
Mhm.
Slumming it today. And that was it. I mean, that's as far as it went. Chad laughed, Melissa laughed. That was all.
What about his pants? What kind of pants was he wearing?
I believe those would have been, I think the manufacturer on this particular style pants is Bulwark.
Okay.
And he usually wears Ariat because they were a baggier pant than
Okay.
what I'm used to seeing him in.
Did you notice anything, besides the bagginess, anything else about his clothing?
No, I mean, that was it. I knew he was wearing it had to have been an older shirt back from whenever, he was bigger, and then the pants and the boots.
Did you notice if his shirt was dirtier than normal?
No, it looked
His
clean.
pants dirtier than normal?
No,
anything like that?
everything looked clean. There was no stains on his pants. There was no stains on his shirt.
Okay.
Nothing.
Did he seem out of
Tired.
sorts? Was he tired, sweaty,
No,
acting different, more quiet than usual? I know you said he's a
well,
quiet
yeah,
guy.
he's kind of a quiet guy, but that particular day, I tried to joke around because I joke around with everybody. That's just the guy that I am in the group. And, he would kind of joke around a little bit and stuff like that. But that was it. He was, quiet. Some days Chris is, pretty talkative. You can have an interaction with him. And then other days he's more reserved and he really doesn't, engage with you whenever you do that, because we joke about things. We both watch a lot of the same movies, and stuff like that. So we say stupid movie lines, and he just wouldn't, wasn't replying like he normally would. But I didn't think it was out of sorts at the time because of the fact that, okay, well, maybe he woke up late. He's tired. I don't know,
Okay. So you guys show up there, you mess with the back pressure line. Did you get it fixed at that point?
We did not get it fixed, sir.
Okay.
That line is still currently, as far as I know, locked out, tagged out.
Okay. So how long are you guys on the scene to try to fix that?
Well, since they'd already diagnosed the problem, we wasn't there in a very short period, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm guessing.
Okay.
That I was there.
Okay.
Because they'd already been there before me and diagnosed that it was leaking.
So once it's diagnosed that it was leaking, you guys figure out that you can't fix it right at the moment.
Right.
You guys move on?
Yeah, well, we have to move on as long as it's locked and tagged out, and that line wasn't going to interfere. They wanted us to open up that top field because that location is a Thames location, which it's the Thames is what helps with emissions, so we don't emit any gas out of the top of the deep patch or anything. So they wanted that line open, and that's the reason why it was open, because Cody didn't even open that line until last week. So we went ahead and closed it, locked and tagged it out. The well was still able to run because it's almost it was almost a load out there. I think Cody said it had about 9 foot in it. Makes about 2 inches a day. He said by Thursday or Friday, that tank should be ready to haul. So that's what we did. We left it running.
Okay. So, and just unclear, everybody left when you guys left?
Yeah, they left. And then.
And did you guys return to the 319 at all?
No, sir.
That day?
I didn't return to the 319 that day. I went back over to the 1029.
Okay.
The 1029 pumping unit is where we were.
Everybody?
Yeah. Well, Melissa, Cody was over there because Cody was already at the 1019 prior.
Okay.
And then Chris pulled up and I pulled up behind him.
1019 or 1029?
1029.
Okay.
1029.
I'll make sure we're talking about the right one.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's right.
319 to 1029.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, there's so many different well names, man.
Yeah. Okay, so let me do that one again. So everybody left.
Yes.
And then everybody went over to the 1029.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
1029.
Okay. Along with
Cody.
Cody.
The last one's on the 319 location.
Okay.
Because I was standing over by that valve that we locked and tagged out, and Chris was over by his pickup. Melissa and Chad got in their trucks, and they drove off and said, "We'll see you guys at the 1029." I said, "Okay." So I grabbed his shovel, walked it over to his pickup, and he said, "No, there's still staining on that ground, so we need to cover that up." So I covered it up. We got the truck. I told him I closed the gate. He left, and then I left.
What's the point of covering it up? Just
Covering
I'm
up
curious.
well, if a state inspector comes out and they find like a puddle of oil right there, then that would be a fine instantly.
Okay.
But if there's this staining on the ground, then you have a chance to investigate what happened. So we're still going to get the line fixed, but until the line was fixed, they wanted the line covered up.
Gotcha. Just curious.
No, that's fine.
All right. So you guys leave, go to the 1029.
Yes, sir.
And you guys stay there for the rest of the day?
I was there for almost the rest of the day. I didn't leave until around 2 o'clock.
Okay. What about Chris?
Chris, I'm thinking it's about 11 o'clock to noon is whenever, because he kept getting phone calls from a lady that was at the house, ringing the doorbell and everything like that, and couldn't get a hold of Shanann. Because she tried to call her, I guess, several times that morning and said that she'd missed the doctor's appointment or whatever that she had.
Okay.
So he was worried. He told me that he was getting worried about it because nobody could reach her. So about 11 o'clock or so, he told us he was going home. But when Chad McNeil and I talked, I mean, I don't know if this would be anything that you guys could look into further for any kind of evidence or anything, but he told us that he had to use the restroom on the 1029. So he told me it was number 2. So he told us, well, I said, let's go over there by that tank at the 1029. So he backed his truck into the sunflowers at the 1029 and used the restroom.
Okay.
I mean, that's not out of the norm for us because we don't have porta potties out there, but I mean, that is something that he did do on that location.
Okay. When did you and Chad kind of discuss things?
Well, I spoke with him again today.
Okay.
He's like, you want to make sure that you bring that up to those gentlemen in case it can't help anything.
Right.
Because I talked to Chad and I talked to Luke and told him that I was going to be coming in today.
Okay.
Because I mean, Chad's the other field coordinator, so I was keeping in the loop with him, and I called him because Luke didn't answer the first time. So I just wanted to call Luke to let him know that I was coming into the office today to do an interview with Joe.
Okay. Can we back up to the 319 for a second?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
When he was he looking around, just get kind of the surroundings at all? Did you
Well,
notice?
Okay. Whenever he got back, when we got ready to get back in our pickups and leave, he was messing on the phone, like texting or whatever. I don't know if he was texting the lady that was at the house or whatever the case may be. It didn't seem odd to me at the time because I thought he was walking toward the back of his pickup, and before we leave location, we're supposed to do a circle check, a 360 circle check. That means you walk all the way around your pickup to verify that there's nothing in your way so you don't hit it. So whenever I seen him walking, he walked just right past his truck, just a little bit, not very far, and looked out in the field like that, and then he walked right back, and that was it.
Did he do a full check or did he look at a specific point?
No, he didn't look at any specific point. It was like his eyes were just kind of up in the like looking toward the sky.
Okay.
He just had his head up and just kind of looked around like that, and then turned around and walked right back.
So is he looking out into the field, or was he looking back
he was
over the
looking out
pad
into the field.
to the south?
Yeah, that would be. I guess that would be the south. I get confused because I'm not
Yeah,
there.
basically
Okay.
towards 76.
So
All right,
south
he
is
parked
that
right
way?
here. Yeah, he walked right past his pickup, just a little ways, not like super far, but just right past his pickup. Because I thought he was doing a circle check, and then he looked out, just looked across the field real quick, and then he walked right back to his truck and got in.
So was he off the pad out here in the weeds?
Yeah, well, yeah, because way he parked his truck with his tailgate was right kind of by the weeds.
Right back here.
Yeah, right back here.
Okay. And he's looking off in this direction. Is that?
Yeah, he was looking off in the because he walked right past here, and he was looking back in here. I mean, it was just brief. It wasn't like he was staring or nothing like that. He just walked back there, kind of glanced around, and then walked right back to his pickup.
Okay. But if you're doing a safety check, you should be looking
Yeah, if
here,
you're doing a
not
circle check,
here.
you should be walking right next to your pickup. You check your wheel wells and everything
Yeah.
to verify that there's nothing there or anything behind you when you go to back up, you know, that you're going to hit, because we have a lot of operators hit fixed objects.
I'm sure.
So, yeah,
I would be one.
it's a big deal.
I'm
So,
sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything out here that would be of interest at all?
No, because I mean, the well pad for this site is just right here.
Okay.
This is just fenced off right out in here, because there is a fence around this whole entire location, and then the gate right there. And we're supposed to keep the gate closed because the landowner or the gentleman that rents the ground doesn't want his cattle inside this, you know, 'cause
Right.
it doesn't hit any valves or
Oh,
anything
yeah.
like that. So that's all there is right here, because the wellhead's here, your separator's here, your tank's here. That's the only thing that we mess with right there.
Okay. Fair enough. And then when you got to the site, I think you said he had a shovel and he was already digging.
Well, no, the shovel was already, whenever I got to the 319, they'd already dug it up.
Okay.
His shovel was standing right next to the freaking catwalk. So whenever I walked up, his shovel was right up here.
Okay.
And the hole had already been dug
How big
right
of a hole?
there. That big around.
How deep?
8 inches.
Okay.
Maybe 8-9 inches. Because I don't think the lines are very deep underneath that berm. And then before they elbow and then come up right there by the tanks.
Mhm.
So you could see a little puddle right there of oil about that big around. And that's it.
Okay. Did Chad or Melissa have shovels out too?
No, not that I know of, because I think Chris had already done that, because
Okay.
that was the only shovel that I seen that was out of the pickup on location.
Did Melissa or Chad have any other tools out?
No, everybody just carries their crescent wrench.
Okay.
So that's our thing. As soon as we get out of the truck as operators, 90% of our job will focus on a 12-inch crescent wrench.
Okay.
So I always carry that in my back pocket, even when I hop out, because you know we use them to change or turn the wing valves on the wellhead, the inlet valves, the separator, the dump valves, everything. We use the 12-inch for everything.
So if you jump out of your truck without the crescent wrench, it's kind of like they're useless.
Yeah. Yeah. I always give everybody, all the new guys heck whenever they jump out. I was like, you haven't been operating very long, have you? Because you forgot your crescent wrench. Yeah. So they'll go back and get it out of their pickup. So
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. And then, so Chris is getting phone calls and texts. Can't find Shanann.
right.
And he says he's worried about her. And then he leaves at some point. Do you remember about when that was?
I would say between 11 and 12.
Okay.
Somewhere in that time frame window. I don't remember exactly. I know I wear a watch, but you know, I didn't think anything was
Didn't
out
pay
of the norm
attention. Yeah.
at
Okay.
all. So
No.
I didn't, you know, attribute that to anything.
Yeah. And how far is it from the 1029 to the 319?
1029 to the 319. Like 5 minutes,
So it's pretty close.
10 minutes. Yeah, it's not that far away. I mean, you have to take that road, go out back out of the 319, and you head back toward that original gate.
Mhm.
But as soon as you hit that intersection where you turn and go to the gate, you can turn right, and then you head up that hill just a little ways. And then, like I was telling you, that riverbed, and you cross the riverbed, and the 1029's right there.
Okay.
So all those wells are pretty short driving distance from each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And to your knowledge, he didn't go back to the 319.
No, but Chad and I were staying on location at the 1029 because we had to call, I think Steve Ergonati, and he shoots fluid levels for us because we had that pumping unit going for almost 2 hours, and the stuffing box was heating up in the polish rod because there was no fluid. It wouldn't bring any fluid down hole. So I don't know if something's happened down hole with the pump, but the stuffing box is right on top of the wellhead, and as soon as that thing heats up, you have to keep spraying it or putting grease on it or anything like that to keep it cool. Because as soon as you burn those rubbers, if any fluid does come up, then it would go all over the place.
Sure. Yeah.
So we had to shut the unit down, change out the stuffing box rubbers, and then we gave Steve Ergonati a call, and he has a echometer type deal where he shoots nitrogen into the backside of the casing so you can see the fluid level. So actually he shot it into the tubing, but you can see the fluid level on his computer because it can tell you that sound wave that runs down the well. It'll tell you where all the collars are and everything. And I stayed out there while they shot the fluid level.
Okay. All right. So you work on the 1029 for the rest of the day.
Yes, and about 2 o'clock I left. Chad was out there longer because he was talking to Steve.
Okay. And you left, and what'd you do after that?
I left and went straight back toward like Hudson
Mhm.
and everything, so I could come back into the middle of the field. That way I could be there if anybody needed anything, because being a field coordinator, you have to wait until everybody leaves the field and everybody checks out to make sure everybody makes it home safe before you can leave the field. So then as soon as the last person checked out, I can give you the time on that too.
Yeah.
Spread the bar. Okay, that's Thursday. Sorry, there's been a lot of activity in the group messages.
Yeah, I'm sure
No,
there
I
has.
get it. Yeah.
There's Tuesday. Okay, that's what time I checked out. Headed out, Daniel Bar, and I checked out right there, right after Daniel Bar.
And what time was that?
So I'm guessing that was about around
A little
3:56
A
p.m.
little after 4, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe right at 4.
And Chris didn't send the message when he was leaving the field, so I put Chris's out as well.
Okay.
Everybody have a good evening.
Can you scroll up to the beginning of the day? I understand that.
Oh yeah,
usually,
that's fine, sir. No.
When you check into a site too, most people will use the group me to say, "Hey, I'm here," or "I'm over here."
Okay,
Whatever
that's
the case is.
Saturday, Sunday, because this is Victor's and Bala. He worked the weekend.
Okay.
All right, and then Cody at 6:30 or 6:28 a.m. in the field.
Yeah.
But we're out in the field. I don't know. Luke saying that Alex is on BTO.
Okay.
So Tony or Robbie to please cover that route. And I got a O2 hit at 11:21 a.m. on my gas monitor because I was getting a pipe wrench out of my toolbox. And if you stand too close to that exhaust while your truck's running, it'll give you a hit. So the IOC called me 3
Things got
times.
sensitive.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
They had to call me 3 times because now anytime our monitors ding or we get a hit, the IOC calls to verify that we're okay.
Okay.
And then.
Okay.
Would it be unusual for people to not check in on grouping?
No, not all the time.
Okay.
I mean, if you're on the field, and as long as it's usually after 6:30-ish, Alex Ray, he'll always send a message whenever he's out in the field, and usually Alex gets out there real early, like 5:30. He's almost like my alarm because he sends a message whenever he gets out to the field. But he was off all the way from Monday till Thursday, I believe.
Okay.
And that's on Luke's calendar down there if we need that.
Okay. What about for Chris? Does he usually check in?
No, usually he comes to the office.
Usually comes to the office.
Because usually we just see all each other out in the office because he usually carries a big red jug that he fills up with water every morning. It's about yay big, and he always gets water at the ice machine down there in the break room.
So for Monday, would it have been unusual for him to not stop at the office first?
Well, he told me on Friday that he was going out to the 319
Right.
to check out that leak.
Okay.
So we didn't think anything of it.
Yeah, but just overall.
Because he always comes to the office.
Okay.
You know?
Always, or
I would
most of the
say
time?
pretty much always.
Okay.
You know, he's there because that's where him and I meet because we're both field coordinators, and he'll, you know, talk to me about any issues that we're going to have out in the field that day or what we need to do.
Okay.
So we'll just go over that, and then we'll head to whatever locations we need to. But I always meet him every morning down there in the break room.
Okay.
Why he was so quick to jump on this 319
No,
to
sir.
go check it?
I don't.
I mean, because we're all the way back at Friday,
Right.
and he's talking about, hey, I'll go Monday and do it.
Right. No, and Cody's like, okay. You know, because Cody's the operator out there, so.
And why wasn't Cody fixing it?
Well, Cody found the stain, and Cody found that stain later on in the evening. I can see what time on Friday. Cody
Okay.
called me.
Yeah.
And he said he was going to run back to a couple different locations and back to at least one of the locations out there where he had some oil gator.
Mhm.
And that's just some stuff that we can mix in with the ground, any kind of oil that sets in there, and that'll help break that stuff down and everything and remediate that stuff.
Okay.
Let's see.
Would it be typical for somebody to declare ahead days out, like before the weekend starts, that, hey, I'm going to be doing this, or would that usually be something you do the day morning of?
Chris has said since he lived on 52, right off Highway 52, that it's a straight shot from him to leave his house, go straight to Hudson, and jump on 76 and go out there and verify it. And usually when we verify a line that's got a leak, we usually have more than one person out there.
Okay.
That way, if we do send pressure to that line, one person could be here verifying, the other person could be at the separator sending the pressure. That way, if there is a leak, we can hurry up and shut it off.
Okay.
That way we don't have excess contamination.
Right.
And
That makes sense.
whenever Cody Roberts called me the last time, because I called him and asked him how it was going, and then he called me again whenever I was in the parking lot on Friday of that week, was at 3:13 p.m. Whenever Cody Roberts called me and identified that there was a leak out at Survey Ranch, or at least at the time he suspected that there was a leak.
Okay.
And I told him, don't worry about it, dude. It's Friday, you know, we'll double check it on Monday. We can go out there on Monday morning and verify. And that's whenever Chris said,
So
Is he usually one to volunteer for something?
Yeah, usually he is. I mean, he's really good about doing that stuff.
let's go to Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday morning, tell me what you do.
Tuesday morning, I come into the office, meet with the group, talk about whatever we got to do that day. I know that we had training set up to go because Luke sent out a message for training that we had to have at the Aquaterra State. So I went to the Aquaterra State.
First?
No, not first. I'm trying to pull it up for you. Sure. Okay, we're still on Monday. Let's go to Tuesday.
Did you have any contact with Chris on Monday evening?
Monday evening, the text messages I gave you.
Yeah, I think
I just sent him a
asked him
text.
how he was.
Okay.
Chris was pretty short, or just saying.
Yeah, none of his replies were very long.
No.
But and then Luke sent out in the group me that morning at 6:31 that Chris would not be in that day.
6:31.
Yes, because I guess he called and talked to Chris Tuesday morning.
Who did?
Luke Apple.
Luke. Okay.
Okay, they ordered an air compressor. Everyone meet me at the Aquaterra State, 1836 at 11:15 p.m. for some training. Bring your Mod 1 books if you have them, because we got to complete our Mod 1 before November for any APC blue badges.
What's a Mod 1?
A Mod 1 is a general knowledge of all your parts, moving parts, your separators, your pumping units, your ECDs, your gas compressors, your VRUs, your VRTs. So they want you to be able to go out to a location and walk them through every step on how that functions.
Okay.
So I tested out last year, at the beginning of this year on it. And if you didn't get a 2 all the way around, then you would have to turn around and redo it. So the ones that I missed, we're going over some of that. And Luke had another meeting that day. So he had to have a phone call at 1 o'clock. So we set on that location and we went over the air skids. So Aquaterra State's not anywhere.
All right. So Tuesday morning, you came here.
Yes.
Got your burrito.
Yes.
All right. And what do you do? Do you hang around the office? Go check stuff?
Well, I hang around the office for a little bit and just talk to the guys. And then after that, I'm trying to remember honestly if it was Tuesday or what day it was. Victor Zambala was having trouble gauging the tank. So I went out with him because he's one of our new guys. He's having trouble color cutting. And that was at the Canon 6768. And
Where's that one at?
Right off County Road 22.
So fairly close.
Yeah, County Road 22 and 31.
Okay.
So I'm trying to remember whether or not Tuesday, because Tuesday you guys had me come back, I believe, to the office.
I think we spoke Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
We
it was
came in?
Wednesday.
Okay. Well, okay. I got a call from an officer in Frederick. That was at 2 o'clock or something like that. So I know I either helped gauge tanks or something that morning. And I told them that we needed to head to training. So we headed out. We're going to go with Daniel Barr. I don't know. If you guys pull my card aside, you guys can tell exactly where I was. I was either with Daniel Barr or Victor Zambala that day.
Okay. And then you go to the training.
Yeah, we go to the training.
What time was that?
Training. Oh, that we had to be there by, I guess, what, 11:15 is that what I said?
Yeah, I think that was what you said.
Yeah, 11:15 for the Mod 1 training. So I show up at the Mod 1 training.
And where was that at?
The Aquaterra State.
Where's that at?
Aquaterra State is, I don't know what the intersecting county road is, but 47 and 4, and then you go east a quarter and south into.
Okay. How far is that from here?
It's on the other side of Hudson. So
Oh, it's a ways.
Yeah, it's on the other side. Like if you take 52 out, like you're going through Hudson,
Mhm.
straight through Hudson, the first road right outside of Hudson, if you're heading to the east, is County Road 47, first dirt road that goes south. So you take that dirt road, go south all the way to County Road 4, and then from 4 over about a quarter of a mile and then south into.
Oh,
Okay. Is that like a training center for you guys?
No, that's just a vertical that they wasted a lot of money on.
Okay.
Well, it's built closest to the HZ sites. It's the only site that we have in the field that has pneumatic air,
Okay.
where all the dumps and everything are run off air compressors. So that's the reason why he went there to train us, because he wanted to go over the air compressor portion of the training.
Okay. So how long does the training last?
Almost until 1 o'clock, because Luke had 15 minutes until he had to be on the phone whenever we were wrapping up.
Okay. So what do you do after you leave the training?
Okay, there from that point, I've got everything here going through my head, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Because it's been since Monday since we've heard anything from Shanann.
Okay.
Right.
Wait, let me stop you there.
Oh, you're good.
So you said you got everything in your head. Tell me what that means.
Well, everything that's going on.
With
Chris took off
Okay.
work, and I'm worried about his wife and his kids because I've known his wife and his kids. I've been over, hung out with Shanann, hung out with Bella and everything. So I'm like, what's going on here? And he's been real short with me on text messages, you know, and there's been no news updates. I've been seeing, you know, stuff coming out that people are looking for me, everybody sharing it on Facebook. So I was like, well, nothing else. It's 1 o'clock. I don't have anything else to do. I'll head back out toward that 319 and, you know, see if I see anything out of the norm and stuff like that. And that's the same time that officer called me.
What prompts you to want to go to the 319?
Because that was the first location we were at that morning.
Okay. Just because, or
yeah,
something's tripping
honestly,
your suspicion here, obviously.
Well, I mean, honestly, because I've seen him in the different clothes. Okay. I seen him in that. And then, you know, and he just was short with me that day.
Okay.
You know, he wasn't really like engaging in conversations and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, you know, 11 o'clock to noon, his wife's gone, you know, supposedly. And, you know, he thought that she went to a friend's house or whatever. I'm like, this is, you know, even in my head, it's not adding up.
So you've been thinking about this quite a bit as
well, I love
Monday
my
went
guys
along.
I work with. They're all like my brothers.
Yeah.
You know, honestly. You know, you can ask my whole group. I would do anything in the world for them, you know. I'd be there for them. They can talk to me about anything, you know, and everything. And I was like, man, this is just so weird because they're such a picture-perfect couple. And then all of a sudden she's just gone, you know. And that didn't make any sense to me because by then we'd heard that the cell phone was there, the kids' medication was there, the purse was there at the house, everything. And Shanann and the girls were gone. That didn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
Because Shanann lives on that phone because that's what her business is that phone.
Right.
So I drove out to the 319. And as soon as I went to the gate was already open. There was a water truck driver on location.
Okay.
And from MPT. And I signed his JSA. So I parked out by the wellhead. And I didn't want to alert the guy that I was, you know, out there looking for anything odd and suspicious or anything like that. So
you know what time that was?
It was around 2 o'clock or so. I arrived out there, and I talked to the gentleman and everything like that. I told him, I was like, well, I think, you know, I might have forgot a crescent wrench or whatever, because I didn't want to tell him because I didn't know if I should look around the field or what I should do. So that's what I told him.
Okay.
You know, and then I signed his JSA, and I turned around and looked at the clock, and it's like, it's so freaking late that by the time I get out of Survey Ranch and back to, you know, the area around like County Road 22 and, you know, 37, kind of like a baseline, if somebody needs me, then I'm going to be way too far away. So I went ahead and just got back in my truck after I signed his JSA and left location.
Okay. Why did you sign that?
Because I'm supposed to.
Okay.
What is
I
it?
have to sign that
What
JSA.
is a JSA?
Job site analysis.
Okay.
So these contractors that work for us, if they pull up on a location, they pull a tank, when she pulled the open top water pit, is what he pulled. That's what he was hooked up to.
So this water truck driver, do you know who that is?
No, sir, I don't know his name.
Okay.
But I did sign his JSA.
Okay. Is that what this is?
I signed electronically. He just handed it to me and said, sign this. Because it's his JSA. So you're supposed to go through the steps in order to pull procedures. Yes, that's exactly what that is.
Okay. So this thing here has a list of all these questions and who filled all this out?
He would have.
He did.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is something he fills out every time he goes
You're
on
supposed
site.
to. Every time you go, well, not every time you go on a site, but if you're pulling a load of water, you know, like if they're just driving up on a site, they don't have to fill them out. But if you're doing any kind of work that's outside the realm of normal activity, but for them, that's their job. So they're required to fill out a JSA for Anadarko.
Okay.
So they have to fill out the JSA and they have to go through their job steps and everything. When we were pulled up, he had his vent line and everything in the right direction. You know, he had it vented away from his truck, you know, and the wind wasn't blowing toward his pickup or nothing like that.
Where is he parked when you get here?
He is parked. Okay, your water pit's right here.
Yep.
He is parked right here.
Is that a normal place for him to park?
Yeah, that's a normal place, I would say, for him to park. So he can, because I believe you have to go over the top to pull these open top pits. So he would just put his load line inside that pit right there and then pull out the sludge.
Okay.
And he was hauling this load to the OPF.
Where?
The OPF, the oil polishing facility.
Okay. Where's that at?
That's on County Road 49.
Where do you park when you pull up on Tuesday?
When I pull up on Tuesday, I went right by him, right over here. And I pulled up right about here on the location.
Okay.
And then he walked over from his pickup before I ever even got out of my truck. And he was right here. And I signed the JSA right there.
Okay. Did he ask you what you were doing?
Yeah. And I told him I was looking for a crescent wrench.
Okay. But that was bullshit.
Well, I didn't, just because things have been so out of sorts, I wanted to, you know, to go out here to see if I seen anything because I've spoken to the officer too.
Okay. When you remember what the officer's name that you spoke to?
I got a voicemail. And I spoke to him at like 2:04. But, you know, things in my head weren't adding up correctly in my eyes. So I do have a voicemail from him. Tuesday, Hudson, Colorado. Okay, here's the voicemail then. I didn't delete it.
At what time?
He called me earlier when we were training.
Troy McCoy
McCoy. This is Officer Walgie with the Federal Police Department. I was wondering if you could give me a call back.
That part again. Can you replay that first part again?
Officer Walgie.
Hello, this message is for Troy McCoy. This is Officer Walgie with the Federal Police Department. I was wondering if you could give me a call back on my cell. It's 303-500-4073. Again, that's 303-500-4073. I was calling you with regard to, we're working on trying to find a missing person. And I was going to ask you, Christopher Watts, I believe that you work with him, gave your name as someone that he was going to meet yesterday in the early morning, possibly with me, or that you work out of the site where he was going to be working. So anyway, he gave your name. I was just wanted to talk to you. A couple questions with regard to Chris. That would be it. So if you can give me a call, again, Officer Walgie, W-A-L-J-E of the Federal Police Department. If you're feeling more comfortable,
Yeah, really.
certainly call the police department. I'm currently there, currently here, I should say. And I can talk to you at the office if you feel more comfortable calling that number. But again, my cell is 303-500-4073 in case I have to leave. Thank you. Good night.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Did you know that the water guy was going to be out there?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, the water guy was out there. Well, Cody Roberts told me that he was going to have the load bottomed out at Survey. And then he also told me that the load line was leaking on the tank.
Okay.
Because that load line is leaking on the tank that was almost full.
That was on Tuesday, or was that another day?
I think it was on Tuesday. He called me and told me that they were going to have that pit bottomed out. And I think the water truck told me that he got like 15 or 20 barrels of oil out of there, or not oil, but water. And then he pulled the rest of the oil and stuff, PS&W that was on top of the tank.
Okay. So is it normal for you to sign this? If you show up on site, when they're on site, they
Yes,
want
you
to
have to
that?
sign that.
You have to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So you pull up around here,
Yeah.
or approximately here.
Yeah.
He comes over before you're even out of your car. Or
Yeah,
out of
before
your
I even
truck.
get out of my pickup.
Okay. Do you ever get out of your pickup?
Yes.
Okay. Do you walk around, take a
No,
look?
I mean, whenever I get out of the pickup to talk to him.
Okay.
Because he's walking up and he's right here by my truck. So I get out, and everything and talk with him. And then he told me, that he's here to pull a load and everything like that. And I need to sign his JSA. And the screen is scratched to hell on that JSA. Sure. You couldn't read nothing if you wanted to. So I input my name and then I asked him, I said, where do I sign, sir? So I handed it back to him. He handed it back to me after he got me to the screen where I needed to sign. And then I signed my name.
Okay. All right. Then, so does he leave? Or I'm sorry, go back to his truck?
Yes, sir. He went back to his truck. And then
what do you do?
I get back in my truck because I looked at the clock and it's already freaking like 2:04 around that time period. So I'm going to go ahead and get back in my truck and I just leave location.
Okay. So you weren't there for what, 5-10 minutes?
I wasn't there. No, sir. I wasn't there very long at all.
Okay.
And the gentleman told me that if he found my crescent wrench, that he would lay it up on, the battery or the tank or the separator for me.
Okay.
So.
All right. Did you have a chance to look out in this direction at all?
No, sir, I didn't.
He was just on you that quick.
Yeah, he was just right there next to me. So
Okay.
I was like, okay, and that's good too because they're supposed to be able to approach people.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they see somebody pull up on location, they will approach you.
Okay.
They're supposed to. That's what they're supposed to do. So I wasn't shocked to see him or nothing like that, but he was just right there at the pickup. So I signed the JSA, and because in my heart of hearts, I didn't want to believe that Chris had done anything. I've been his friend for 2.5 years. But with Shanann not getting back to anybody. Even like calling her parents and just being like, hey, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm safe and sound. Bella and the kids are with me. We're good. I was like, that was the location that he was at that morning. So that's why I went out there. Because, everybody's looking for clues and tips, anything that can help. And I honestly just want to help.
Something's needling you about this.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, I didn't say it in our first interview, but the clothes.
Mm-hmm.
The clothes, it was just different to me. And then whenever I told you about how he walked by the back of his truck, it was odd. And then now all of a sudden I find out, the next day that his girls are gone and there's a missing persons report and everything for him. Nobody's heard nothing from him. I'm a father. If my wife was gone and everything like that, I'd be freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
And, he's just like, hey guys, I got to go. It wasn't like necessarily like a panic whenever he took
There's
off
no
that
urgency to it.
but he's like, hey, I just got to go. And that's all he said because he rolled down his window and he pulled up to Chad McNeil's pickup that day. And he's like, hey guys, I got to go. Something's not right at home. And then he drove off.
How did he drive?
And he just pulled away normal. It wasn't like he was in a fire rush, you know. If I had my friends calling me and tell me, you know, or my wife's friends that my wife was missing and my 4 kids weren't home, I'd be freaking out, honestly.
Pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Why did you park there?
Because that's where I seen him parked.
Okay. And when the oil and water guy approached you, why didn't you just keep looking around like you
Well,
originally intended?
after he approached me and everything, because I was looking at the clock, because I need to be off somewhere close to the time frame, like 2:30ish and stuff like that,
Okay.
so I can actually get home, because I live in Greeley,
Mhm.
and from Greeley to Surrey is a heck of a long drive, you know, and my
Yeah,
wife
it is.
babysits and everything else, so I want to get home whenever it's close to time, because I'm not trying to milk the clock, any extra overtime or anything like that.
Right.
So after he approached me, we talked for, you know, just a couple minutes and everything like that. He told me that if he found my crest wrench, that he could put in a tank battery for me. And that was it. I got right back in my pickup. I drove around slowly to the location, you know, drove around the edge of the location right here. I just drove around right here,
Okay.
you know, and then just went ahead and took off.
Why didn't you tell him the truth?
Because I didn't want to tell him that I was searching for any kind of suspicious things on location.
What would have been wrong with that, though, if you had just said that?
Well, I know, but I mean, at the time, whenever I was approached, that's what I said, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not here to lie to you guys, you know. I'm upfront and honest about it. Obviously, you guys knew I was there, and I've got no problem telling you exactly why I was on location. So,
Did you talk to your wife about this on Monday when you got home?
well, yeah, because Shanann and Juanita, you know, do the Thrive thing. Because Juanita's a promoter as well, but she's never even hit her 4K on that. You know, and it just doesn't feel right. You know, for those girls just to disappear and Shanann to disappear, and she's such a public person and everything like that. So the wife was worried about him. She wanted to make sure that they were going to be okay as well.
What was your conversation about? Tell me, not necessarily about, tell me what was your conversation like? Were you guys, you know, convinced something had happened or just a little bit concerned?
Well, we were concerned because, I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities if they were having issues, you know, and she wanted to leave, if that was the case, for her to take the girls, because I figured she would, you know, and go ahead and go off to a friend's house, because he told me that he thought Shanann had went to a friend's house that morning. So
Chris told you that?
Yeah, it wasn't nothing out of the norm, you know, like she goes over to friend's house and stuff all the time. But that's what I told my wife. I was like, well, I don't know if she took off, went to a friend's house, you know, whatever the case. And later on in the day, we found out the cell phone was still there, you know, and everything, the purse, all that kind of stuff. And then it just didn't start adding up. You know, you never want to think that one of your coworkers would be capable of doing something like that to a person, you know, anything. And then,
so at what point do you start to think that Chris has done something?
well, the only part I started to think would be Wednesday, because I drove out to location. You know, I wasn't out there very long on Tuesday. Didn't see anything out of the norm while I was there, but I really didn't look around. You know, I just got back in my pickup and drove off. And then Wednesday, I didn't text him at all. Nothing. I didn't, you know, try to check on him, anything. And then, okay, then Wednesday would be the day that you guys called me, roughly around 10 o'clock.
Just
or so.
that, I think it
Yeah,
was.
and then I come back to the office and have a talk with you, Joe.
Were you out at this location ever again after Tuesday?
No, sir, I wasn't. Never again.
Do you know who else has been out at that location since
Cody
they?
Roberts was out of that location on Tuesday.
Tuesday?
He had to do something out there. I think Cody Roberts was out there though.
Do you remember about what time?
No, sir, I don't. That's just from Cody talking to me,
Okay.
telling me that he was out of location.
Okay. What about Melissa or Chad or anybody like that? Did they ever go back to 319?
Well, I think Melissa would have been back out there because Melissa's been chatting with Cody.
Okay.
Because Cody starts automation cross training next week.
Okay.
So that's the whole reason why Melissa was out there anyway.
Right.
Because she's not the normal operator. She's just a trainee that just got signed off on her SOPs, standard operating procedures. And then now we're feeling comfortable enough to let her run her route and see how she does.
Okay.
So that just happened to be the particular route which she drew.
Okay. Would there be any reason for anybody to drive out here in the weeds?
No, sir. There'd be no reason at all for anybody to do that.
Is that permitted? You guys get busted for that?
No, yeah. You, like whenever you're out of Sorby Ranch, if you read that sign, it's posted by that gate.
Oh, yeah, it's got the
you
rules
stay
on
on
it.
the ranch road.
That's right.
You don't want to be caught outside of those ranch, on the lease roads that are out there, because you will get your butt ripped.
Yeah.
I mean, most of our landowners that we have are like that.
Yeah, sure.
You know, even Mr. Batting is that way.
Anything else that we haven't talked about regarding any of this stuff that you can think of that we need to cover? Even if you think it's not related or it's frivolous or anything else you can think of, you know, suspicions, just rumors, anything else you can think of.
Right. Well, I'm trying to go through my head on everything that I could have said to him that day. I mean, all this stuff that's going on, you know, sometimes it's hard to remember, but I do. Another thing, that morning, he told me they were having issues and everything like that, but
This is Monday morning.
yes. Yeah. You know, he said, yeah, we're having some issues and everything. And, you know, he's like, well, her wedding ring was laying on the counter. That's what he told me. The wedding ring was on the counter. And I was like, why would she leave her wedding ring on the counter? He's like, well, I guess that she's just through with me. I don't know. You know, but he sounded hopeful that they could work things out, you know, so that didn't, you know, necessarily bother me at all. You know, he's told me that the wedding ring was laying on the counter.
Counter where, do you say?
No, I don't know if it was a kitchen counter, sir, or their dining room table, because they're right there next to each other.
Did he say anything about, you know, hey, this is gonna be hard on the kids, you know, anything like that?
No, he never spoke of his girls.
Never did.
No.
Like
Whenever he
as a-
said that they didn't go to school or whatever at CC and Bella, because I don't know if they had like a daycare or something that they go to every day, but he said, yeah, she didn't take them to daycare and she didn't go to a doctor's appointment. That was it. That's all he ever spoke of the girls. But he just told me that him and Shanann had issues and everything, and that's why I figured why, because she didn't get in until late Monday morning or Sunday night whenever she got in, and I figured that they just couldn't sleep. Honestly, is the reason why he looked the way he looked. I never put things out of sorts, you know, or even would have thought about things being out of sorts until nobody heard from her.
Right.
You know, and she's not that type of person at all.
Does he generally talk about his girls on a day-to-day basis?
Here and there, if they get to go do something.
Okay.
You know, he loved playing with them and everything. Last pictures I seen anyway of the girls, other than when you know, I seen them on Friday with him. They were happy, laughing, and everything when we met in Fort Lupton. And you know, like the trip that they took out to the beach in North Carolina. You know, he always posts stuff like that. You know, and you know, for the most part, if anybody asked him about his kids, he would just light up. You know, they were like the center of his world. You know, it's what it seemed like. You know, but now that we know what we know now, obviously that must have not been the case. Because any father that loves their children could never do something like that. So I'm just blown away with this. And I mean, I know me going out to location on Tuesday does not look good upon my part. And I told the guy I was looking for my wrench, but I had that sick feeling in my stomach. Okay, we haven't heard anything from her. If I can find anything out on that site where I could tell authorities, you know, something about it, that, you know, we could find out what happened. You know, I was praying to God that that wouldn't be true, because that's a guy I worked with for 2.5 years.
Right. Is your buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I would consider him a friend. You know, we didn't hang out outside of work hardly at all. I went down to his house twice for thrive parties, like I told you guys before. And then I met him at Fort Lupton because he asked me to try to put some programs on the Fire Stick for him. I said, okay. That was the only reason why we met. And it was a brand new Fire Stick straight out of the box. And I handed it back to him on location that Monday morning. So.
Yeah. Good. No, just understand that we had come across this information about you being on site on Tuesday.
Right.
And it's, you know, just one of these loose ends that we need to
No,
tie
and
up.
I understand that.
You know,
that's why I said I had no problem to come down and talk to you.
Sure, no problem. And I appreciate that. You know, and I think you pretty well told me that you recognize that something was wrong, and you know, you put a few things together that's
It
tripping
seemed
your
like something was
suspicion.
off. That's why one of the first things I brought up to you guys is, yeah, okay, we're at the 319. That was the site that I met him on. I got a map out my truck. Anything I can do to help. I went and got you guys a map so you guys could take pictures of it or whatever. You called me and asked if we go out to Serby Ranch together. I said, yes, sir.
Yep.
You know, I didn't hesitate. And I drove straight from County Road 37 and 52, where I received your phone call, straight to Hudson and waited there for you until you guys arrived on location.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I wanted to help.
Yeah. No, and
I didn't know it was going to turn out this way.
No, and I appreciate it.
We appreciate that.
But, you know, and obviously you thought something was up because that wasn't adding up.
Yeah, I mean, I pay attention to a lot of things. I mean, I've got like ADD. You know, I notice stuff that's just different, you know, that a lot of people just kind of gloss over. But I've got so much that runs through my mind all the time. I don't remember everything. But then Chad and I started talking about the day that we were on that location. And that's whenever I remembered all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have a meeting with those gentlemen today, tell them everything that I know, just to see if I can help out in any way, shape, or form. Because, I mean, I can't believe what happened. Yeah. That's absolutely terrible. And then to read on number 7 or something like that, the tanks were involved with that too. I mean, possibly. I don't know if that's the truth or not. And I know you guys can't say that's part of the investigation, but I was standing right there by those tanks, you know, and if I was that close to that, that blows my mind. It honestly does. I don't even know how to process this. You know, I was starting to feel better a little bit, talking to the counselor a little bit. I didn't talk to him one-on-one. We talked to him in the group, you know, and my buddy Tony Brown, he was bawling. You know, Chad McNeil was visibly upset. I've been crying most of the night once I found out the news. And I don't know. I mean, anything I can do to help you guys, I'm more than willing to.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
But I just don't know. This is absolutely horrible. I've never been a part of this in my life. I've never been in trouble in my life, you know. I don't have any experience with talking to officers or nothing.
Yeah, and understand, we're not accusing you of
Right,
anything,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, but I know it looks
We just,
terrible.
it's just
because
one
I'm
of those loose
the
ends we need to tie up.
closest
Yeah.
one, you know?
It's just one of those loose ends we need to tie up. I
No,
so
no, I
come
understand
back
that.
and I can say, yeah, he told us about, you know, X, Y, and Z, and this is why he was there.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, because I want to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, did Anadarko bring in a counselor for you guys?
They did. It was a gentleman. He was an older gentleman. I don't remember his name. I've got the paperwork that he gave us for. We have like a counseling hotline that we can call if we need any help. And I believe he was here yesterday. Today's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, he's here today as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we had our meeting yesterday morning, and he sat and talked to us for about an hour. You know, and then our boss came in and talked to us, and he said, "I'm sorry that I wasn't able to, you know, be able to say anything to you guys or anything about what had happened because it was Wednesday night, right? That it came across the news that he had confessed. Is that correct?
Yeah. that
Yeah,
seems
late
right.
late
Okay,
Wednesday
sorry,
night.
yeah, late Wednesday night, because
My
I was
day is
almost
just-
asleep, and then Tony Brown calls me, and he's bawling his eyes out.
Yeah.
And I said, "This can't be true." And then we pulled it up, and we seen that it was true. And my wife cried unconsolably for an hour and a half. I was trying to calm her down. I mean, it's just been tough on everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't imagine the way that those families feel, because they've been absolutely ripped apart.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then to find out that she was pregnant with a little boy.
Yeah.
They invited me to their gender reveal party, you know, and then it got deleted. I didn't know who deleted it or nothing, but it just, you know, no gender reveal party. Because I believe that was supposed to take place on the 16th.
Speaking of that,
That
do you
was
know
yesterday.
who Nicole
Other than seeing her on the news, sir, for the interview that she did.
Yeah.
That's the only
That's over. That's the only way you know who that is.
No.
Okay.
Well, the other person, that Nicholas, that you guys have got going,
Nicholas.
well, not you guys, but interviews that you guys have seen online, he's a bald gentleman. And in this interview on the news, he's sitting on a park bench with his wife right next to him.
Mm-hmm.
That was the gentleman I was telling you about that Chris run with all the time.
Okay.
That he was running together trying to
Yeah.
get 5K.
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
We
Gotcha.
talked to him.
Okay. But no, I didn't know any of the other Thrive group outside of any of that.
Okay.
Because the Thrive party that we went to, we built a vision board, which I still have in my house, and my wife still has hers. Because you're supposed to put your goals and cut out pictures and all that. So we done that with them. We ate supper with them. But like I said, that was, you know, like February-ish or something, you know?
Yeah.
Because I just met Shanann for the first time at our Anadarko Christmas party.
This most recent one.
Yeah, the last year's Christmas party, you know, and I don't know what date that was or anything, sir, but, you know, because I text Chris and everything because we've been working together, you know, long enough, and he wanted to sit by my wife and I. So we hollered at them. I got to meet Shanann, you know, and found out how bubbly her personality was and just how awesome she was, you know, and then I guess she had lupus, and by taking Thrive, it was able to help her, you know. And so my wife is suffering from acid reflux and everything, and she said, well, that might help you. So I got my wife on Thrive, and she's been doing better ever since, you know. And I thank Shanann for that, because Juanita had to take medications all the time and just weren't helping her, you know. So
Yeah. It's a terrible circumstance, no matter how you look at it.
it is bad. I mean, the only other situation I've ever been close to that would even resemble this at all, which it doesn't, would be my dad's passing. And that's the closest I've been to anything like that. I've been pretty fortunate in my life not to have anybody I know ever have any serious trouble, you know, or nothing like that, or anybody else that I know personally pass. You know, all my friends are still alive, you know, by the grace of God. Thank God for that. But to have something like this happen for the guy that I spoke with every freaking day for 2.5 years, you know, and then just to go like that. And like I said on Friday, when I met him, he seemed fine, man. He was laughing, smiling. You know, he went to the console, and it might still be in the console of that vehicle. They had gum, like little bubble gum deal. It was white, and it was like tangerine. And he gave it to each one of his girls, and he asked me would I like a piece of gum, and I took a piece of gum from him. You know, it's not off at all on Friday at all, just normal Chris. You know, and I can't fathom what would have happened between that time frame for any of this to take place. I just can't. But, I mean, anything y'all need from me,
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I'm more than willing to help, because I don't know what I can do at this point.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, obviously seek counseling, because this has affected you. I mean, it's affected pretty much everybody involved, us included, just especially from being out at the site and the folks who, you know, have gone through the recovery process. It's
Well, I
a
asked
terrible
the gentleman,
circumstance.
once that it was confirmed that something was out on the site, whenever I drove home yesterday, because they wouldn't let me drive my truck because I was a freaking wreck. And the gentleman that drove me home, I asked him, I said, is there any way that I can never have to go out to that area again? I can't stand being on that location, because I knew her. I knew those two little girls. They played with my girls. My girls loved them. I can't even watch the news because if my daughters, CCC and Bella, on there, I don't want to have to tell them that they're in heaven now. You know, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry I went out to location on Tuesday, but it just
No,
didn't sit right with me. It honestly
You don't have
did.
to apologize.
Don't
for that.
worry.
I think that's a very astute observation that you picked up on something's wrong, and just that you put together the totality of the circumstances. And I think you went out there just to even ease your mind a little bit to say this,
Well, yeah.
this can't possibly be.
So when I talked to you guys on Wednesday, you know, before anything had came out later on that evening, I told you I wanted to help you do whatever I could, you know, whether it was find the girls, if Shanann just went away or whatever she did with a friend, you know, or clear his name. Because I honestly thought at that time he was innocent. But I wanted to know in my heart of hearts if I seen anything odd out there that I could call an officer and have them investigate it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I was out there.
No, and I think that's a very reasonable explanation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is kind of for later down the road when, you know, like maybe a defense counsel finds something like this.
Right.
And then wants to make some story up. We have to be able to say, no, that's stupid. This is what actually happened.
That's fine. I mean, whatever you guys need from me.
Okay.
Honestly.
Does the name Mark sound familiar? Did Chris ever talk about a Mark in California?
No, he's never mentioned a Mark to me.
Okay. Any name that started with an M? Mark name may not be the right name.
No.
Or anybody in
actually,
California, actually.
He's real reserved in the fact that, I mean, he'll let you on a little bit of stuff.
Okay.
Like he told me his wife and him were having a little bit of issues.
Right.
You know, but he didn't say nothing about they were, you know, going to get a divorce or anything like that. It was just issues. But no, when I talked to Chris, it was about fantasy football. You know, he's a big Steelers fan. And I used to be a Colts fan until Manning left because I followed Peyton Manning around. So I don't really watch football much anymore. And I had the 5.0 Mustang I told you about. Well, he used to have the Mustang whenever he lived in North Carolina. And when he moved out here with Shanann, they sold it. But he had it all souped up and everything. And since he was a Ford mechanic, I talked to him about issues or questions that I had with my Mustang. And then my wife has she had a Ford Flex, one of the ugliest vehicles in the road.
Yeah.
And we kept having issues with that because I bought it outright.
Yeah.
And that was my fault. I bought it from like one of those buy here, pay here places. But I
Yeah.
paid cash for it. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Had a hole in the gas tank. I drive it for
Nice.
2 weeks and the transmission goes out.
Nice.
So that was like $5 grand.
Yeah, right.
So no, I'd ask him questions about all that kind of stuff all the time. So all of our conversations were mostly upbeat, you know, talking about sports, you know, stuff like that. And since I, you know, could sense just from, you know, him telling me that they were having issues, I never asked. That's not my business. You know, that's not my place. What goes on behind their closed doors, that's their business, you know, because my wife and I almost went through a divorce 2 years ago and I was the same way, you know, so I understood.
Yeah. Have you talked to Luke the last couple
Yes,
days?
sir. Yes.
How's he doing?
Pretty rough.
Yeah, he was pretty twisted up.
Yeah, I spoke to him today, and just because I wanted to touch base with my supervisors and tell him that I was coming in today. And he said, okay, buddy, you know, if you need anything, he asked me did he need to drive up because he was at the office today. He brought his personal Suburban down because the gentlemen that weren't able to drive home, Victor Zavala and Daniel Barr, and I believe Melissa. Melissa didn't catch a ride with the gentleman yesterday, but Victor Zavala and Daniel Barr did. So Luke lives out in Wiggins, so he picked those guys up and brought them in his Suburban. And he asked me, did I need to ride down here, you know, to have an interview with you guys? And I said, no, it's okay. I'll sit down. My wife and kids drive me down. That way I can go ahead and pick up my work truck, you know, and drive it back home. So, but yeah, he's pretty shaken.
Yeah.
You know, and Chad McNeil, he's pretty shaken as well. And then Tony Brown, he was just all sorts of tore up. I've never seen that man cry in my life. And he was just sobbing the whole entire time we were at the office. And we were talking, you know, about how to, you know, try to let things go and everything, you know, and move on to the future. This guy drew out like a little diagram on the board. I mean, he was just almost inconsolable, you know. And it's just tough because I'm looked to as leadership in the group. You know, we're right below Luke, you know, for answers and everything. So all those guys talk to me all the time, you know, and that's why I feel like they're all brothers. You know, I do anything for them. And, you know, even Melissa's a sister, you know, even though she's new to the group, she's excellent. You know, she used to be an EMT and everything. So it's pretty cool having her part of the group.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, thanks for coming down and talking to us again.
oh, you're welcome, sir.
You know, if you think of anything, I gave you my card last time, didn't I?
Yes, sir, you did. Yes, I believe I still have both of your
Okay.
cards. Let
Yeah,
me verify that, though.
Yep. If you think of anything, you know, give me a call or send me an email.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Philip Jones?
Yep.
And Greg?
Is that there?
Okay, I don't want to mess that up.
Yeah,
That's terrible pronouncing.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I need to
Okay,
look
I've
on
been
phonics
cold.
sometimes.
I've been cold a lot worse. So
Yeah. But make sure you talk this whole situation through with people just for your own mental health, because this is a terrible situation,
Yeah.
no matter how you slice it. So everybody's been affected by it that was close to him, family, coworkers.
Yeah.
neighbors, pretty much everybody, the whole community.
I wish that I knew, but like I seen on Facebook, they're raising a GoFundMe page.
Okay.
To be able to, I think, get Shanann and the girls back out to North Carolina, so they can be, laid to rest properly.
Oh yeah.
And I had called Luke and asked him if Anadarko would be willing to donate, and he went to some of the higher ups, and all I got to do is take a picture of that link and be able to send it to them. And I think they're going to try to donate to be able to help out the family
that's good.
to get them back home.
That's
Because
good.
all of us were blindsided by this.
Yeah.
Stunning. The back, gorgeous. The side, beautiful. The top, amazing. The bottom, perfect. From far away, glorious. Close up. The front, stunning. The back, gorgeous. The side, beautiful. The top, amazing. The bottom, perfect. From far away, glorious. Close up. The front, stunning.
And if you're not subscribed, why are you not subscribed? I would really, really, really love to have you as a power subscriber. If you really like my content, be sure to become a Dragonfly, and that's our membership, and it's $2.99 a month. I release all my videos early. We have special emojis over in the chat room. I kind of share things ahead of time with my Dragonflies, and I go live sometimes just for the Dragonflies. It's a way that I can support you guys and give you more content, and it's a way for you to support our channel. It's $2.99 a month, and I would love to have you.